Hello friends, welcome to today's Sunday Tea Time live stream. My name's Darren and today we're going to do some animation. And I hope you're all well. Please do come say hello in the chat, let me know who's out there. Especially if it's your first time today, do come say hello and join in the chat. And if you're new to these streams, welcome. These are a chance for me to work on a drawing or animation in OpenToonz or Tahoma 2D. And for you to join in, ask any questions about what I'm doing or about the software itself. Or just to join in the chat. And today I'm going to continue to work on my short animation with my little monster, so I'm looking forward to getting to that. And I hope you can join in with something similar and maybe share what you're working on in our group Discord that you find a link to down in the description here on YouTube. Maria, the first one here. Hello there Maria, welcome, good to have you with us today. And we've got Tweet Animation Studios, welcome back. Not spoken to you for a while, good to have you here. Eric, welcome Eric. It's great to see you here nice and early again. Hope you're all doing well today. If you want to let me know what you're all up to, are you doing some drawing or animation today? Will you be able to share it with us maybe? It's always good to see what you're working on. So I'm going to get to the animation pretty swiftly. But let's have a little bit of a chat first, see who's going to turn up, see who's with us today. We haven't got too many with us just yet, but I expect plenty more to join in a little later on. So I've had a bit of a busy week myself this week. I've been working on my video for last Friday, which took quite a lot of putting together, but I'm really pleased with how that came out. I've done a few other things. I've worked on a pretty short additional lesson to my OpenToonz course on Udemy, just to be able to link to some of my favourite YouTube videos to filling any gaps where I've already made a video for YouTube but not yet added a video directly for the Udemy course, so that by the end of the course you can go through this list and fill in those extra little gaps. So I'm really pleased I got that completed and got that inserted into there. I have still got another video to make for the very beginning of the course, because I recorded the course originally in version 1.4 of OpenToonz, and since then for version 1.5 the room layouts have all changed, which is really not handy for this purpose. So when people first get into the course, they're seeing the initial room, which is the old basics room, and it's laid out totally differently. So I need to create a new lesson for the start of the course to present the new layout, and then mention that some of the other lessons have a different layout. So that's something I'm hoping to work on this coming week. Okay Maria, great, yes. I saw you posted just before the stream the initial idea for your birthday card there for your niece. So you're working on that today during the stream, excellent. And again, I'll keep an eye on Discord server. I've got it open on my other screen here so I can see when people post anything. And if you want to share that, please do. And if you'd like me to share it with the rest of the stream, just let me know and I'll pop it on the screen here for people to see. So before I get to animation then, let me first talk about what I've seen and what I've done since we last streamed. So let's see what happened last week. What happened last week? So this section is a chance for me to let you know about any OpenToonz or animation news that I've heard about since we last streamed, to share what you've been working on, things I've come across either on the Discord server or on other socials, and also to share about things I've been working on since we last saw each other. So if I bring the screen down here, and we'll see the thumbnail for my last video with a disturbingly large photo of me in the front of it. And it's a video all about adding and editing audio. And it's something I've been wanting to do for quite a long time, because I keep seeing the same question popping up again and again on different social sites, including directly after putting this video out, someone asked the question again on another Discord server, how to add audio. So in the video, I'll talk about what types of files you can import to OpenToonz and Tahoma 2D. how to import them, which is pretty straightforward, how to preview them, which is really useful depending on what you're working on. You want to use one of the different techniques, and then how to edit them, to move their position on the timeline, deleting parts of the audio, or to split the audio into different parts for your animation. And then finally, how to change the FPS, the frames per second of your scene, and still keep the audio playback running okay. And that's something, again, people ask about all the time, where they've added their audio while their FPS of scene is set to, say, 12 frames a second, and then they increase it to 24 frames a second, and they're surprised that the audio plays faster or slower. So it's a pretty simple change to make to get that to work. So I included that in the video as well. So it's quite a packed video with lots of little tips in there. And next week's video, I've not started just yet, but it'll be about the feature, following on from this one, the feature to record audio directly inside OpenToonz, so that you don't have to rely on finding audio elsewhere or using other software for simple audio additions. So I'll take a look at that during the week and hopefully get that recorded and ready for Friday. If not, it'll be there for the following week. And just to mention the Discord server, I'd like to talk about what you've been doing this past week. I've taken a few of the animations and drawings from the Discord server, and I've put them up in the kitchen again that you'll see during my break a little bit later on. So thanks for sharing those, including some snapshots that people have shared for a discussion where we was talking about smear frames, how they're used and what they're for, and where you might place them in your animation. So I put that in as a little slideshow as well. So you'll see that in a little bit later on. So let me bring the screen back up. There we go. Hello there, Tom. I've had some more people turn up. Hello, Tom. Welcome back. Good to have you here again. Amar, hello there, and happy Sunday to you too. Good to have you with us. You did? Okay. Oh, I'm pleased you did. I really am. I mean, I didn't really talk about it last week when you mentioned it. I don't like to chat about things on the channel that people find a bit contentious. That's not really what we're here for. But I'm glad you did, and I'm glad you've done so, and it means you can keep your job, I guess, to keep working. So I'm pleased for you. Yulichek, hello, welcome. Good to have you with us. It's good to see so many names that I recognise again back with us this week. Are you all working on some drawing today? Because this is the time to do some drawing or animation, and I love it when you share it in the Discord to let me know what you've been working on during the stream, whether it's related to what I'm doing or just something of your own project. Yeah, I'm sure it will, Amor. I'm sure it will. I mean, I had my two jabs. The second one, perhaps, was it 3 or 4 months ago? I've had them now for quite a long time ago, and I'm coming up to needing my booster, I guess, around December time or early next year. Not quite sure why people find it so contentious, but again, not going to go through that today. That's unimportant. The important thing for today is we're going to do some drawing. So let me jump over to the animation room. Here we are. So I've got Tahoma 2D already loaded up with the project from last week, which is the little monster doing a small jump animation. Okay, Tom. Yep. Nice. So let me play this through. So for those that weren't here last week, so it's a small animation that I wanted to put together just to give me a bit of practice moving this character, this little monster, in an actual situation, to have him moving a bit more than I have done previously, where I did a run cycle and a walk cycle. So I created a fictitious idea of him trying to run and jump over a gap in the ground, which is this little oval here. I've had a change of heart since last week, but let me play this through first. Play it on loop. So he's standing still at the start, then he'll lean back and then run forward, take a couple of steps and then jump up, and then he currently falls down into the hole. And what I'm going to do is to change the theme behind this of, instead of him trying to jump over the hole unsuccessfully, I want him to purposely jump into it. So I'm going to change the hole into kind of a swimming pool. So the idea is it's trying to make a big splash. So it's going to run along as he does now, jump up and purposely bomb into the water and create a splash. So my intention is to try and complete the run and jump this week, hopefully with ink and colour, but we'll see what time we have. And then next week I'll do the splash as a separate kind of animation on top of what we have here, because doing splashes of water, as easy as it sounds, I've had a play in the past and not quite managed to get a really neat looking splash, a great looking splash. So I want to investigate that a little bit more and then perhaps work on that next Sunday, hopefully, to complete this animation off. And it kind of adds a bit of something else for me to draw into here rather than just the monster. But the idea was to spend a few weeks or a couple of months or so, next couple of months, playing with the monster, have him in a few different situations, just to get things moving, ready for the following animations that I plan to be working on. But I know that, of course, we've got a few holidays coming up, so I might do something for Halloween, something different. I'm still mulling on that, and of course Christmas as well. So between now and Christmas, really, I want to be filling in the gaps with this little monster animation. I was actually, Tom, planning to do 2 or 3 different versions of the animation with the monster trying to jump over a hole, with different things getting in the way each week. So the idea for this week's one was he was going to try and jump over, just didn't quite get far enough. So then the following one was going to be perhaps a smaller hole, him trying to jump and maybe hitting a wall or something coming in from the side to hit him, and that kind of thing, just to try and build up a few different thoughts for how you might try and make it over the water. Maybe a hand comes out and grabs him and pulls him down. There's lots of things I could do. So yeah, so we'll definitely come back with something else after this one is completed to see what we can do. No, you're right, Maria, water is not easy at all, which is why I wanted to do it. It's a bit of a challenge. As I say, I've had a bit of a play, moved it around a little bit. It's kind of been okay-ish, not been fantastic. So I thought we'd see what we can do for that. Yeah, exactly, Tom. Exactly. I love that idea of from Who Framed Roger Rabbit. They had the portable holes where they threw them onto the wall and they put their arm through them and then they could move the hole to somewhere else. Absolutely. Death laser, yes, that would do as well. That would do as well, absolutely. Brazilian Dutchie, welcome to the stream. Good to have you with us today. So Amar suggested it could be a good opportunity to use a smear frame for the anticipation jump to the air, to the overshoot of the character hitting the water. Possibly. I've not considered that yet, Amar. So you're thinking about this one here, where he jumps up, so he could sort of smear up to add to the speed of him moving, possibly. I want to have him floating in the air a little bit longer than he was as well. I've got a few more in-betweens to add at the start as well as through that little arc there. And to change the last few drawings of, instead of him falling through the hole, to purposely stay curled up to try and bomb into the water. Well, if you're around now, Yulichek, why don't you pop open OpenToonz or Tahoma and maybe do a little bit today? Use this as an excuse to get some animation done. Doesn't have to be massive, nothing large. I mean, the idea here is only for a few seconds animation for this short animation, just for a bit of practice for me. So why not? So I've got my favourite cup of tea in my favourite mug. I hope you've got a nice beverage where you are to power you through some animation. It is like riding a bike, as Maria kind of says. It's once you get back into it, just start doing it again and again. I really, really, really want to start doing some animation with people. Maria does it regularly with her birthday cards and other occasion cards you've been working on. And as I said before, I'm really kind of jealous that you get that practice in, but I'm not comfortable yet drawing people, which is why I'm sticking with my little bean-shaped monster. So I want to work on him for a few weeks to get into animation, get him moving, and then we'll come back later and throw some people at this and see what we get to. Yes, I don't know how you're finding any time, to be honest, Maria, with your new job. They do, especially as a new job, taking up a lot of time. My current job takes up so much time trying to fit in a bit of drawing or animation around that. My Friday videos is kind of tricky, and this is why I'm sticking to the Sunday streams, because it's an excuse for me to get in. It forces me to do something and makes me look at what I want to do and try and focus on being a bit more productive. So rather than just messing about with things, because you're all here, I feel like I need to do something more productive, and it's making me think, what can I do? What can I learn? And that's why I've created this character and I've been pushing this animation to do a bit of animation, and why I want to do the water splash next week again, just to make me get into it and to do it. Soda Pop, hello, welcome back. Good to have you with us today. I know what you mean, Yuli Check, but you don't have to worry about that. I mean, initially you're animating for you, not for other people. So it doesn't matter if you really suck. It doesn't matter if your drawings are bad, if the animation isn't smooth, you can't keep your character consistent, or whatever the problem is. Do some animation for you and start to improve piece by piece. Pick on some area to improve on, whether it be your line quality or the character design or the spacing, whatever it happens to be. Just each time you do something, think of something small that you want to look at and focus on. Absolutely, Tom. Simple things. The bouncing balls, as I said before, I've got the 9 exercises over on the Discord channel for people to jump into and practice on. They're great just to work in some practice on your basic animation movement. None of them touch any kind of good character drawing skills. It's all about movement, pacing and spacing. So perhaps try those out if you haven't already, or just pick on an animation like I've done here. I've got my simple character, having him doing a simple action of running and jumping. It couldn't be much more of a simple storyline to work on, and it can't be much more complicated because of my skill level. So I'm focusing on what will help me the most. Micktoon Animation, welcome to the stream, Micktoon. Good to have you here. How to export the animation to post on YouTube. The best way to post on YouTube is as an MP4 file. So you'll need to set up FFmpeg. So I've got a video on that, and if you need that, let me know in the chat and I'll share a link to that. But then once you've set up FFmpeg, you just go to the render menu, output settings, choose MP4 as the output type, give the file a nice name, choose where to save the file, and by default it'll save in your outputs folder. If you're not sure where that is, you can press the dots button to the right and it'll pop open a dialog showing your folder structure of where it's going to save it. You can choose to save elsewhere if you want to by picking another folder. I like keeping the rendered output with the project personally. Choose the frame numbers you want to render out. You can change some other settings, initially no need to, and then choose either render or my preferred save and render to make sure that your project is saved before it renders out. So I hope that helps a little bit. Alon Dan, hello! Mr. Dan Insane, welcome. Good to have you here, not seen you for a while. How have you been? No, not too late at all. I've not even started on here. And I'm kind of working a little bit with some of your advice from many years ago. It must be a couple of years ago, where you talked about just creating simple animations just to get some practicing. And that's what I'm doing here. So this is what I did last week, the basics of this little animation of a little monster. He's got no arms yet, they'll come in later on today. Just running and jumping. He was supposed to be jumping over the hole, but this week I'm going to change it to actually jump into the hole as like a swimming pool to try and create a big splash. How to make fluid movements? That's a great question, and it's something to not worry about initially, I'd say, but definitely using arcs, considering the number of frames in betweens that you want. Not too many so it goes slowly, but enough so that you can see the fluid motion of the character or of the different parts of your character. I'm sure people in the chat will have lots more advice for you on that. Yes, I'm really well, thank you, Alan. I'm very good. Good to see you here today. I've not seen any of your animations for a while. I did see one of your videos you uploaded, I believe, a month or two back, would it have been? And again, lovely little characters popping up. They've always been an inspiration, and I try and put a little bit of that into what I do. Nowhere near to the quality that you do, but still, it's there as an inspiration. It's there in the background. Yes, frame by frame, I love it. Cutout is handy. I like a bit of cutout. Using the Animate tool to put in some simple squashing and stretch is good. But my true love is frame by frame animation. And it's a good way, I think, personally, to learn the animation principles. You can use cutout, you can use 3D to do so. But I think drawing it frame by frame, as bad as your drawing ability may be, as bad as my drawing ability may be, it's certainly the best way to get some good out of doing the animation, I think. And it's something that I talk about a lot and persuade people a lot to try and draw frame by frame, even for the simple ball bounce, to try and avoid going there vector levels and using the geometry tool, but draw it out by hand. Absolutely, Amar. Absolutely. Oh, you really have. To lots of people, I'm sure you've heard it from people. People have seen your videos and joined you on your Discord. Your animations have inspired lots of people. Yes, I wondered how that was going. Yeah, the animation software, you mentioned it a while back, and I've not seen anything since. So I was hoping it would still be progressing. So hopefully we'll see that at some point soon. Yeah, I'm intrigued as to what we're going to get from it. Exactly the same Mixtoon animations, exactly the same in Tahoma 2D as OpenToonz, because this is Tahoma 2D I'm using today. So it's from the render menu, output settings, choose your options, save and render. Oh, nice. I really do, Alan. So yes, fantastic. Absolutely, yes. Having an animator behind it should add in the features that we need. So I'm really looking forward to seeing it. And I'm interested in how much of a contender it'll be for OpenToonz and Tahoma, because this software for me, it does everything I want it to do. We could all ask for more features. There's always something else that you want, but it does everything, and it's quite traditional in what it offers, which is really what I like about it. It shows animation the way I've grown up understanding animation, frame by frame, with drawings being shown one after the other, and drawings being can be repeated, replaced, and that kind of thing. So it really suits me. So yeah, looking forward to seeing what you come up with. It's Panda Maeve. Hello. Good to have you with us. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, I'd be interested when you finally release your software to see how you describe the difference between that and OpenToonz Tahoma. The pain. I'm intrigued. What did you find difficult or not smooth? And is it how it compares to your new software or compared to other current software? Yeah, October sounds good. Badger Shame, good morning. Welcome to the stream. Good to have you here. MickToon's back with another question. MickToon, no problem at all. How to make sub-X sheets in OpenToonz or Tahoma 2D. So you do so if you've got more than one column that you want to group together, and either just to break it down so that there's less on the timeline to group things together. So you may have multiple columns that all make up the background, and you'd like to have a single column saying background, so you can collapse those together like a folder effect, or because you want to apply an animation or an effect to a group of columns. And all you do, so if I've got the background here, which is a very simple background of the circle and line, and then the monster in front, you can just save first, click and drag over the column headers to highlight them, and then you can either use the toolbar buttons here in Tahoma 2D to collapse into a sub-X sheet, or right click and choose collapse. And now it's folded those two into a single visible column on your main timeline. But if you want to, you can click on any frame in that column and then press this button here to open the subscene. It's called subscenes in Tahoma and sub-X sheets in OpenToonz, but it's the same thing. So click that button and it expands the folder in effect to show you those two columns that you've put into that sub-X sheet or subscene. And you can now work on these as you want to, add new drawings, move them around, add effects, that kind of thing. And when you've finished inside this collection of columns, you then close that subscene or sub-X sheet and you're back on the main timeline. And you can work with these columns, this single column for the sub-X sheet, as though it was a bunch of drawings. So again, if your background is made up of 3, 4, 5 columns, now you can treat them as though they're a single set of drawings. So you can take one of the frames from the subscene, you can click it and you get the handle, and you can extend it to show that single frame in the sub-X sheet for more frames on the main timeline. Or you can remove frames, you can add animation using the Animate tool and work with it as though it's been collapsed into a single set of drawings. So I hope that helps a little bit. That's a shame, Alon. I'm just going back up to the chat. I don't tend to get crashes these days with OpenToonz or Tahoma. A lot of the bugs have been fixed. I'm assuming you've got the latest version with you coming back to it, I guess. I know some people do get crashes, and that's down to the personal system, so your graphics card, processor, that kind of thing on your computer. Yeah, that's a shame. So far, it's impressive. Powerful words. I'm looking forward to it. Really looking forward to it. Amar, if you wanted to stream directly after my stream today, or if you are streaming and going to continue, do let us know in the chat and at the end of the stream, and we can let people know and send them over to your channel if they want to watch you working on your October. Yes, basically a timeline inside of a timeline. Enyo-san, hello, welcome to the stream. Good to have you here. There's only one way to get good at it, McToon, and that's practice. Practice, practice, practice. Above everything else, and then it's focused practice. So choose what you're going to practice on. So just drawing the same thing badly every day, you won't necessarily get better. But if you look at what is wrong with that bad thing, or try and pick up a lesson from somebody else of how you can make it better, and practice on that, and being honest with yourself to review what you've done, to know and recognise when it's not good enough for you. So you're only comparing yourself to yourself. Don't worry about other people just yet. And recognise that you may have done some animation with something moving. doesn't look very smooth. So the next thing you work on, try and concentrate and focus on making it looking smooth. Or if your character is drawn getting bigger and smaller throughout the animation, again, with an eye, observe what's wrong and consider what's wrong and spot it, and then the next time you practice, try and think about drawing things with a consistent size. Find out how other people do that. And often for animation, it's by breaking down a character into basic primitives, so spheres, cylinders, boxes, and then consider how they move, as Amar was saying earlier, and just work on it on each animation to improve one piece, getting better and better each time, and it is just time that you need to get better. Ahoy, Captain Krabs! Welcome. Good to have you with us today. And again, lots of tips coming through. Thank you, Alan, and anybody else. Please do share some tips for the new guys to understand how to start. I mean, I still consider myself very much a beginner, very much in the beginning phase. So you'll see me making mistakes, doing things wrong. You'll look at this yourself and think, he's not quite got that right. I would do it differently. And trying to get that eye to recognise what's good and what's bad is really useful with your own work for getting better. Did I start with the rough animation layer, Alan's asking? Yes, I did. If I show this actually could be quite good for, we're talking about beginners. I started with a very simple set of drawings here. Let me take away this colour and bring up the opacity so we can see. So I did a sketch layer, and you can see how rough and ready this is. So my little monster character is made up basically of two circles with curved lines to join them together to create the monster. And at the top right here, if I zoom out, I've got a flip book, and in the flip book I've got my breakdown. I made a turnaround animation on the stream a month or two ago, and I broke down the character of how he looks and where each part of his body is to try and understand how to draw him better so I can draw him consistently. And I made this turnaround animation to try and see him from different angles and to get practice as well for me for drawing in from different angles, because it's one of my failings I need to work on, to draw in 3 dimensions as a character turns around. So that's why I did this. And the animation was simply him moving across the screen, a couple of circles, and jumping up. So let me zoom out a little bit. So if I replay that, just to get a feel for where he's going to be in the scene, and to get a little bit of a feel for the timing. So I did this first, and then on top of that I then drew a neater version. So let me loop play that. As I was drawing him, I did adjust him. You can see he's moving slightly off time to the sketch version. So I turned it yellow here so you can see the sketch version a bit different. So I changed the timing a little bit to make it move more smoothly. So by drawing him rough first, it meant I had time to draw him quite quickly to get a feel for the whole animation. And then by adjusting him, I didn't need to be concerned about throwing away a neat drawing. So I could just make a messy drawing, easily move it to another location, and it was no concern. The neater you make it, the less likely you feel about moving it and messing about a drawing. You feel like you'd waste your time. So that was the second pass. I also used some shift and trace techniques to draw over the body to keep the body size consistent as he moved over here. So this is kind of the neater version, but I still want to draw a neat line over the top of this, which I hopefully do later on today. Thank you, Alan. I've been doing this streaming for a little while now, and it's something that I was very nervous doing at the very beginning. Sitting here, putting yourself out there, I know what I can and can't do. So drawing in front of people live by the chatting and saying things and making comments, it's not the easiest thing to do at the beginning, but it was a challenge for me and something I know people have found useful and found fun, just to join in with what we're doing. So I've had a few follow-alongs where I've invited people to draw exactly what I'm drawing to get some practice in. And next week might be similar when we do the water splash for completing this animation, inviting people to join in with me. So yeah, it's been an interesting experience. What's the difference between Tahoma 2D and OpenToonz? There's not a lot of difference. I'd say McToon, they're 95% the same. Tahoma was created to make an easier looking version of OpenToonz. So some things have been hidden by default, so it's a simpler view. Initially when Tahoma was made, OpenToonz was still focusing on the X sheet, Tahoma was focusing on the timeline. But then there's also a few additional features that you don't find in OpenToonz. So for instance, up here, you've got grids you can add on the screen. We turn that on there. So you can have horizontal and vertical grids to help you lay out your drawing. You've got an isometric grid, if you want to draw an isometric 3D sort of view. And you've got some vanishing points, if you want to use vanishing points on here to help draw in 3 dimensions. Really, really useful. So yeah, it's a little bit of difference between the two, but basically they're the same program. Yeah, Captain Krabs, great name, great name. Just catching up with the chat. Let me grab a sip of tea while I do. Thank you, Eric. Great point there. Patience, absolutely. You see on YouTube and elsewhere lots of speed paints, either single drawings or animations, and it's really easy to feel the speed they're presenting it at is the speed it can be completed at, and it really, really isn't, especially if you're doing, as I've done here, multiple passes to get your animation together. So I've got a really rough first pass to get the basic size and positioning of the character, then a neater pass now to get the character drawn to scale with all of his features, followed by an ink and then paint section to go later. So patience is a great tip. Thank you, Alan Dan. Again, it's for me, it's going back to the traditional way of working. That's what I've seen for many, many years. So it's the way I'm drawn to work, and it's working for me. I've still got a long way to go to be more comfortable with what I'm doing, but it's working for me, going from the rough to the neater to the neat. Absolutely, I agree, Soda Pop. I look forward to seeing it. I really, really do. I'm unlikely to leave OpenToonz Tahoma, I think, for any other software at the minute. I understand the software I'm using, and that's really important, I think, to get the most out of it. But it doesn't mean I won't try some other things now and again. And I know when we discussed this before, you was talking about it being a simpler way of working for animation. So I'm really keen to see that, and then I'll possibly promote it on the channel, let people know about it as a stepping stone. If it's much, much simpler than OpenToonz Tahoma, fewer crashes for people. Even though I don't get crashes, I know some do. But if there's fewer, then yeah, that'll be definitely a good thing for people to get into initially to start working with animation. Okay, early next year, great. Yeah, and I know you mentioned before you was tired of other software, so it'd be interesting to see what comes out. I use a Huion tablet, McToonz. I don't particularly think any tablets are necessarily better than others. I think most people you speak to, if you ask for a recommendation, they'll talk about their own tablet. So XP Pen, Huion, Wacom or Wacom, all good tablets. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, animating something simple. Like a lot of people, I'd like to animate proper characters, full human characters, but I know I can't. It'd be silly to even try. They'd kind of be okay, I think. They'd be recognisable, but I wanted something simple. And for me, this was kind of what I came to as the simplest character. 2 circles with stick figure arms and legs running, basically. So can't get much more simple. I did a walk cycle a while back, which was much more simple. In fact, if I open up a flipbook and load into here, I've got should have my original walk cycle in here, possibly. I did 2. Let me just look at that one. Ah, no, this is the current character walk cycle. I did a simpler version, so I did 2 weeks talking about walk cycles on the stream. The first one was a simple walk cycle with the arms and legs pivoted at the same place, and this is the slightly more complex where the arms and legs have kind of got hips and shoulders so they move backwards and forwards. But yeah, I started with a really simple, like an egg-shaped character, and then I extended him to this 2 circles, 2 spheres character, so he could have a little bit of rotation in him. Just catching up with the chat, still well behind. A virtual pirate crab. Yar. Alright, After Effects artists. Right. Have you worked with OpenToonz or Tahoma yet, Captain? Me too, Soda Pop. Alan Dunn was one of the first people I saw using OpenToonz many, many years ago. Thank you, Alan. Appreciate that. I heard someone once describe being an animator that when you get to a certain point, you become a superhero. You have a superpower, and that's the power to see movement broken down into the smaller steps. So you can sort of freeze time with your mind to be able to work out a good walk cycle or how people are moving, and to be able to get that onto paper. So yeah, I've heard that kind of description before, but thank you. Appreciate that. Yes, McToon, a pencil tool. I guess kind of it depends what you mean by a pencil tool. Here I am on a smart raster level. Let me just undo this because I collapsed that down to the sub-X sheet. Let me just check that will undo. Oh, I changed that. There we go. In fact, let me reload the scene. So revert what I've done there and reload it. There we go, back to where we were. So on a smart raster or raster level, you can go to the raster tab and you can choose a pencil tool to literally draw like a pencil in here. I'm using the charcoal pencil or charcoal brush at the minute for this stage for drawing this character. So if you scroll down here, you've got the pencil tool to draw as a pencil style. Or when using the brush tool, if you're on a Toonz raster level, you've got a pencil option which takes away the anti-aliasing effect. So it depends quite what you mean by pencil tool. But yes. Princeton, hello, welcome to the stream. Good to have you here. Giving up on animation because it's hard and my art sucks. 2 points there. The first point, it's hard. Yes, it is, but it's not impossible. And I think anyone that's interested in animation can learn it, can pick it up. Depending on what time you have spare to work on it, it can take longer or shorter, but anyone can pick it up. My art sucks. Yeah, so does mine. Doesn't mean I can't have a bit of fun though, does it? And that's what we're here for. Have a bit of fun with animation. You haven't got to be great at drawing, but if you animate over a period of time, your drawing will get better. And that's what I'm looking forward to. Because if you ask me to sit and draw a human face or a character now, you'd be surprised. I've had lots of people join us on the Discord server or take my course on OpenToonz that have been older than you might expect, so 30, 40, 50. One chap was 82 or something that joined the course, and when all of them share their first drawing or animation, without being mean, because mine's the same, it looks the same as though a 12-year-old had drawn it, I would say, because that's when most of us last drew. So before I came back to OpenToonz a few years ago, I'd not really done any drawing since I was at school. So when I started drawing again, my ability hadn't improved and I was drawing like a 12-year-old. And that's what everybody is like, and it just takes time, practice, patience to get better. So if you're interested in it and you've got time, stick with it. It will get better. Just catching up with the chat here. I want to really pop the chat onto here. If I got it on here. It's not on the screen, so let me jump over to here. And the chat can be on the screen while we're going through. I should really pop that on sooner. Let's see where we are. So David Chawla is asking, wants to submit an animation project of 2 to 3 minutes. How much do puppet animation? Do I think you can submit it in time? You could certainly submit something in time, yes. 100% you could. Whether it's to the quality that you want and to the effect that you want, I couldn't say. It depends on what you're aiming for. That is a lot. It's quite a tight schedule. It's a lot to get done. But if you had a static image with just the mouth moving, you can draw 3 or 4 mouth shapes, basic ones, and move them in time to the conversation. So it depends how much movement you need in the animation. A big fan of vector drawing, nice. If you like vectors, Soda Pop's the chap to speak to. Yes, Amar, I'm going back a few minutes on the chat here. Say it's challenging rather than hard. That's a good point. Yeah. Yeah, I much prefer challenging. Thank you, Eric. Yes, you do it because it's fun. Exactly. That's why most of us are here. Oh yes, Hypnotoad. I forgot about him. I made him perhaps 18 months ago, maybe. A full screen version of him. If you look on the channel, you find a 10-minute video of him doing his Hypnotoad goodness. Yeah, some great tips here about how to get started with animation, things you can work on. Starting simple, absolutely. Do the things that are fun. Have something moving and then recognise that you've done it. It's just kind of a great feeling of you brought life to something. Whether it be a ball bouncing round, a line wiggling, changing shapes, or a character. I'd say definitely don't jump into characters too soon. A lot of people try drawing a character running around. A fight scene is the most common thing they try and do, and it's so difficult until you've got the basics under your belt. As much as you want to, try and hold yourself back a little bit to enjoy animating simpler things. Oh, video editor, nice. Yes, I remember that superhero collab. That was a lot of fun. That was a good example of where my human drawn characters look a little bit wobbly, but I still enjoyed it, still had a lot of fun with that. And again, for that I brought in something new to learn, and that was I drew a cape blowing in the wind. So the challenge for me was try and make that look as natural as possible. And I think for that, for my first attempt, that came out really well. I was really pleased with that. Yeah, the simple animations, definitely. You can really get more done quickly. If you're just drawing a line moving around, you can do that really quickly and really start to learn quicker, as we've talked about on the channel a few times. Fail early, fail big, and learn lots. So the sooner you can learn the faults, the sooner you can learn what you need to learn, the sooner you can get into learning those tricks and tips. Oh, team of 2, okay. So that's useful then, working collaboratively. Nice. Yeah, I see lots of tips like this, Eric. People say they do gesture drawing or life drawing or something, or whether it be working animation or just static drawings, to get a feel for characters and people. But you need to figure out for yourself what works for you. There's lots of tips. You've got a great list up here. Yeah. Raji, hello. Not seen you here before. Good to have you with us today. So let me jump back into the drawing room then. Hands are very hard. Yes, there's lots of techniques for drawing hands and lots of ideas out there that people have got. Okay, you keep chatting in the chat, I'll keep an eye on that, but let me jump in on to get some drawing done today as well, and let me just add a few more in-betweens to this animation. So let's see where we are then. So let me hit that on loop play. So I need to add a few in-betweens to slow down the lean back and then the starting to run forward. I think the run is fine, but obviously I need to add the rest of the character in here with his arms and body. I want to change the ending with Harry jumps into the water, so I'll add that in as well. Absolutely, there's loads of tips in the Richard Williams book and other books. I know what you mean. It's difficult, Alan. I mean, the past, what was it, about 3 or 4 months ago, I took some time to understand about YouTube and how it handles channels and sharing videos, and I've changed a few things about the videos I make each Friday about OpenToonz. For the past month I've done them differently, and I've been a little bit braver and put my face in the video and tried to make them shorter and snappier, to try and encourage more people to come across them, to watch them, to not skip around so much, because that seems to make a difference. That you don't get as much watch time if people are skipping through. If you're being boring or over explanatory, they'll skip to a later part of the video, so suddenly your 5-minute video has only had 3 minutes watched, that kind of thing. So I'm trying to keep an eye on that. It's about getting videos out regularly, about people engaging with them, which is why I talk about people hitting the like button. Good reminder on the video, because then that shows engagement with the video, that people are enjoying it because they're not just watching it, but they're engaging by hitting like or adding comments. So all these things build up to your videos being made popular and being shown to people. A while back you talked about not everybody seeing the videos even though they're subscribed to your channel, and apparently reading around and watching some videos, not all your videos are shown to all your subscribers. If somebody hasn't commented or liked on a video or watched enough percentage of videos, they won't see the next one of yours. It's only the videos they engage with that they'll be shown from content creators, and subscribing is only one action of many. So there's lots of ways to keep people coming to your channel, but also ways to stop them coming to your channel. And because animation takes time, trying to produce regular videos is difficult. So it's difficult for animation channels in particular to keep going. Yeah, no problem, Princeton. If you have time to join in for some animation and to get back into it, then do so. But it's got to be there to be fun for what you want to do, and it is a slow process, and it's something that takes a long time to start to get good at, I think. So it can put a lot of people off. Yeah, exactly. More views on your tablet reviews. Yeah, because tablet reviews are popular, people will maybe watch more of them. I mean, when your animations have come up, I've sat there and watched them all right through from beginning to end. I don't skip around. There's no need to. It's the shorter, snappier animations anyway. But people like reviews, so if people are watching them, YouTube will share them out with other people. Yeah, great music videos. It's Max Magnus. Hello, welcome to the stream again. Good to have you back. Yeah, YouTube have got their shorts version, which is their TikTok in effect. And I've considered making shorts myself, and in fact, I think Alan Dan, your animations would do well as shorts. So if you reformatted them to the vertical size format that you need to do, so take a look into that, and then rendered and re-uploaded your videos, they might do well as shorts possibly for the animations. It's a little bit peculiar how the shorts work in YouTube, because you don't pick a category, so you don't say you're interested in animations or sports or news. It just throws lots of different videos at you, and I'm guessing it depends on you liking or not liking. So thumbs up, thumbs down the videos to what you get later. Yeah, but obviously, as you say, once you get more time. Yeah, tips and tricks would be ideal. Yeah, because tips and tricks, obviously, for animation, are independent of the software for the basic tips and tricks, as well as tips and tricks in each software. Right, so you've already tried TikTok. I say I have considered doing the shorts for YouTube, for either short tips for OpenToonz or to promote OpenToonz, or totally separately for mini animations, 15-second, 10-second animations. I've not done so yet. I've mulled it over and thought about it. I've not done so yet. So if you get any experience yourself with that, I'd be interested in where that takes you. Mushroom Man. Hello, Mushroom Man. Sounds like a fun guy. So is Rasta or vector graphics better for backgrounds? I cannot answer that because it depends on the style of your animation and what style you want for your background. Vector can look quite almost sterile and almost very, very cartoony because of having solid colours around. Whereas for Rasta, you're more likely to use, say, airbrush style effects on them. So it depends. It really does depend on the effect you're after for your background and for the whole animation. But definitely work on both, as I said earlier about understanding your software. So once you understand the software, you know which tool to reach for the intended purpose. Until you understand the software, you won't necessarily know what each tool does, so you might not reach for it. So knowing how or what you can do in vector levels and in raster levels, you'll know which one to use for your purpose. I use both at different times. Right now I'm using raster for this particular animation, but I may well use a vector background because I can more easily put in a gradient for the sky and the ground, which works really nice. Absolutely, Soda Pop. You can use all together. It's your choice. You can use vector, you can use raster, or you can use imported images, which can be realistic photographs that you've taken yourself or downloaded, or you can push a photograph through an image manipulator to change the style of the photograph to give it a more cartoony feel in some way, or a sci-fi feel, changing the to a black and white kind of image or an old style image. So there's lots of choices for bringing things together. Absolutely, Maria. You can animate them as well as they move around. Shankism, hello, welcome to the stream. So you're asking, I want to be an animator, but you just started improving your drawings and take it seriously. You're 20. Am I too late in the game? Absolutely not. It was my 50th birthday last July, and I came back to animation thanks to OpenToonz about 4 or 5 years ago. So absolutely not, it's not too late. But too late for whom? If you enjoy what you're doing, it's exactly the right time for you. Absolutely, Adaji. You can mix raster and vector together. It really doesn't care. So these are plain raster levels, and if I press the vector button, I can add a vector level. I can move it to the background here. Let me move the column down, and then I can choose to add a rectangle here if I wanted to, and then add a vector gradient fill to that. I can fill that in. Let's change the colours. So like a darkish blue to quite a light blue. Using the settings, we can change the angle around so it's lighter at the top, and then selection tool, click on the rectangle and change the outline to colour 0, which hides it. So now I've got a gradient for the sky so easily, and it'll just render that together as one single part of the animation. How do you save individual drawings, is asking the Mushroom Man. Basically by, let me delete that, by choosing to render them out. So where you'd normally go to the render menu and choose output settings and pick a video file of MP4, GIF, WebM, change it instead to PNG, and that will produce images for however many frames you request to render out. So you could just choose to render out frame 1 by choosing frame 1 to 1, or all of them by putting in however many numbers there are, and then it'll create lots of images in that folder. So in fact, if I bring my folder over here, this is the outputs folder. If I choose to render frames 1 to 36, I'll choose save and render, open the outputs folder, and you'll see 36 images here that you can then assemble in a video editor program, or even bring back into another scene of Tahoma or OpenToonz. Yeah, there's lots of people, as Amar saying, over 40 and beyond. Absolutely no age limit whatsoever. Adaji, now you have the same brushes in Tahoma and OpenToonz, and in fact I think OpenToonz has got more. I thought there was an extra set of brushes added to the last version of OpenToonz, but it's all basically the same, and because you can install OpenToonz and run a version of Tahoma, because it's a portable version not installed, you can run them both on the same machine as I do. You can copy the brushes from one project, from one program to the other, to use in either of them. I'd say Shankism, don't worry about making money initially for using OpenToonz. If that's your main aim, I don't know if animation is necessarily the best way to go. You can certainly make money with animation and with drawing, because it can take a while to get good and to learn the craft, like any new craft. Captain Krabs, 42. Thank you, Captain. Adaji, 52, but 15 in spirit, exactly. I think most people doing art have certainly got a younger spirit than their own age. I'm going down to, at times, anywhere from 15 to 30 in my spirit. Yeah, no, great comment there, Captain. 42 and always learning, exactly. Eric's 32, thank you, Eric. Rod Stewart. Now, you are showing your age, Amar, by mentioning him. I imagine there's 1 or 2 people in the chat today that don't know Rod Stewart. Anyway, I'm to crack on with this. I'm going to do this, but with all the chatting, I've finished my tea already, so I'm going to grab another cup of tea. So I'm going to leave you for 5 minutes. Feel free to carry on chatting, obviously in the chat. I'm going to grab another cup of tea, and I'm back here in around about 5 minutes. We'll carry on with this animation, add the in-betweens, and then get this completed as a sketch version, and hopefully move on to ink. So I'll see you right after this. Hello there, welcome back. Let's check up on the chat to see where we are. So there's been a lot of chatting while I've been gone. It's good to see. Oh wow, I've been gone for a while. I've made myself a cup of tea. Here we are, okay. Yes, Rod Stewart is where we got to. So I hope you're all doing well today, and I hope some of you can join in with some drawing or animation. Yeah, it's a good habit, Amar. Adyan's asking, can you tell me which is the best for low-end PC, Critter or Tahoma 2D? You know what? The best thing to do is just try them both yourself. As long as you've got space to install them both, download them and try them out. Personally, for me, I like the workflow in Tahoma better than Critter. But a lot of people use Critter and swear by it and love it. So I'd say try them both out yourself and see which feels more comfortable for you and which is more performant on your local machine. So Mushroom Man's asking about using the mouse, not a graphics tablet. Says when he draws on OpenToonz it looks like garbage. How do you make them look neat? I'm sure there's more comments coming shortly and advice for that. But it's a case of practice and technique. Learn a few techniques from people. I'm still learning myself in that area and making things looking neat. Using a tablet is going to be easier than using the mouse, of course. But using the tools perhaps, so using the geometry tools to draw circles and lines and arcs could be easier than trying to manually move a mouse to trace over a line or draw a line. And I guess as well, mentioning tracing over, drawing a rough version first and then tracing over neatly afterwards using either vector tools that you can adjust or using again these geometry tools here. Where's the mouse? In OpenToonz, and then choosing to use perhaps the arc, polyline. Learn what all these tools are and which ones suit what you're trying to do. That could be one use. Thank you, Maria. I try and keep it chill down in the kitchen. I know what you mean, Shankism. Yeah, I've got to, of course, reassure your parents that what you're doing isn't wasting time. So perhaps take along animation along with a career as well. Don't rely on animation as being your sole career if you can help it. If you can work another job or work as another career as a fallback, it could be really useful and something to help persuade your parents that you're doing the right thing. Yeah, winning the lottery, Amar, would be ideal. For me, first I'd need to start actually buying tickets for the lottery to win, but that would be ideal for all of us. Captain Krabs, yar! Drawing a crab as we speak, as Loki, a Loki crab. Looking forward to that. Yeah, there's lots of advice coming through. I'll leave it there. It's been passed on. Happy to see that. Yes, exactly. Great advice, Mushroom Man. Great comment, sorry. Drawing the first frame on pencil and paper and then scan it to a PC and then you can perhaps draw over the top. Yeah, if you can draw better pencil and paper rather than trying to draw with a mouse, that could be a great way in. And OpenToonz and Tahoma both allow you to scan directly in. Yeah, absolutely, Maria. Yeah, we've all got bills to pay. I mean, I don't do this as my career. I work in software development. This is purely a hobby for me. I don't know if I'd want to do this as a career in itself, working for an animation studio, working for somebody else. But if I could do some animation and earn some money from it, that'd be pretty cool. But I'm not too concerned. This is, at the minute, a hobby for me, a great thing to do in my free time. Yeah, Critter is really good. I use Critter myself every week. I use it to put my thumbnails together for all my videos. I've not really used the animation tools, but I've seen people animating with it, and it doesn't interest me to try it out myself, knowing how OpenToonz and Tahoma works. Oh, the chat's skipping past. Here we go. I've caught up again. Yeah, it's more about the story and the audience. It is, yes. I don't know if really, Changism, you need art school. I've seen lots of comments about this, of what art school can provide for you. And there's plenty of people that don't go to art school and still do pretty well out of art. Yeah. Apologies for the the lack of content at the minute. I'm still working through all of the chat here. Yeah, there's plenty on the internet to give you advice and to learn from. Yeah, thank you, Amar. Exactly, thank you, Captain Krabs. Rooster Teeth, yeah. 18-hour days is just mad. You can't work that for very long, can you? It's the same, because I work as a developer. Some developer jobs, particularly in the area of games, people work incredibly silly hours, and it just doesn't help. It doesn't produce good work. The employees, you can't be happy with it. But employees rely on you wanting to work in the industry and willing to do the hours. So that's the question of whether animation for a studio is right for you or not. Thank you, Captain. Yes, all about the real, not the education. Yes, it's proving what you can do, not saying what school you've been to. Because it doesn't matter if you've been to school or not. If you're not very good, you still need a good animation reel. Yeah, burnout is a big thing. Absolutely. Yeah, working on your drawing, improving your drawing for now. And speaking of drawing, let's do something with this little fella. So I want to add some in-betweens. So let me lock up the background so I don't accidentally change it, which I have a habit of doing, drawing in the wrong column. So onto an in-between for him leaning backwards, ready to start running. So I'm going to add a couple of in-betweens in here. Let me just start drawing in this column, make sure I've got the right pen. And because it's a new session, as I always say to people here, whenever you start a new session on a new day and you go to change your tool, have a glance over the options bar at the top to make sure what settings you've got, because you may have left them in a state yesterday or last time which isn't suitable today. So I've chosen my pen, just check I can draw, hit undo, everything's okay. So I'm going to add a new blank drawing by pressing Alt D. I'll then turn on the onion skin, and I'll use the trace and shift technique, which is the opposite of shift and trace, to keep the character the same size here. So I want to have a check in the Discord server. So there's a couple of comments come in. So a wild Basil has appeared. So welcome, Basil. Good to have you with us. Just checking through them all here. Be with you in 1 second. And Not Blubber has joined us as well. Let me just say hello. Okay. Are you on YouTube? I believe you are, Shankism. Check down in the description, and there's a link down there to join the Discord server. Natalie, bring you over to here. And then if you want to share anything in the live stream chat while we're on the live stream, otherwise have a look around all the channels. And if it's OpenToonz or Tahoma 2D related, there's a whole section to share your art animations and start the chat or ask questions in the help section, your questions. So yeah, so take a look at that and come and join us. Project Z Team. Is that the OpenToonz project, Soda Pop? And don't forget that what I'm drawing here, even though it's reasonably neat, is still only a rough version of what I'm going to have for the final animation. So I'm going to try and draw trace over here as neatly as I can. Doesn't need to be super neat, and I can easily make mistakes because I'm going to redraw over this later. But it keeps the character roughly the same size throughout. And I've got the extra marks where the nose and the hair will be, so I can add that in later. His right leg is going to be absolutely still, and the left leg is going to start to pick up. So his left leg, if you picture it, is joined kind of here on the far side. So I'm trying to imagine the top of the leg here, but then I want to bend his knee a little bit, because in the next drawing is standing on the floor. So I'm going to lift this up. Yeah, I've seen some of that, Soda Pop, the discussion. I've just not got time at the minute to join in with that, so I've kind of ignored it a little bit. I may come back into that later, but yeah, I'm struggling with time. With my job and various things, it's keeping me really busy at the minute. Let me choose the eraser and take away his foot, because I need to redraw that in a second when he leans back. So going from standing still to leaning back here. So I want to add an ease out of the current position. So I'm going to use the selection tool to highlight him. I'll move this little marker from the center of the selection tool to the bottom of his leg where the heel of his foot is. And then when I rotate, he'll rotate about that point. If I turn on the onion skin for the next drawing, I can see where he's moving to. So it's coming backwards a little bit. I don't want him to move too much because it's easing out, but his knee will start to bend later. So that's fine for that one, I think. So let's turn off the onion skin. So standing up, and then he starts to lean back to here. Yeah, of course I said Z. It is Project Z. What else would it be? So let me just loop play that part. And I was going to ease out of there and ease into the back part. I still will. It might be a bit of overkill. So let me just extend drawing 20. And again, I'll press Alt-D to create a blank drawing. I'll trace over the following drawing this time. And clicking Save in between to make sure we don't lose anything. And because I'm using the trace and shift technique, it shouldn't take too long to add in these extra drawings. And if I find it doesn't work, then I should just delete it and not worry about it, throw it away. It's really, really easy to get carried away and think that once you've drawn a drawing, you've got to keep it, and you really haven't. So let me just add in all of his features here. Where his hair is, and where his nose will be. Again, use the selection tool, highlight him, move the center rotation point to his heel, and bring him forward this time. So he's easing into that back position. Now draw his back leg on. It's got to be in between those two positions. So it's pretty similar. So it's come from there, it's leaning upwards. In fact, let me undo that. I want his toe going there, and then he puts his foot down, is what I'm after. It's a very subtle movement, and it's only one single frame, so it doesn't need to be too accurate there. So let's turn that off. So let's have a look at that. That's fine. I'll extend the spacing of where he's standing back before he moves forward. I'll leave that note level. I'm not using that now. I don't need the thumbnail. I'm not using that either. Okay, so I've got him leaning backwards. Didn't have his foot there, so just need to make sure I add that in. And again. And he needs to come forward, ready to start running. So he needs to ease out of this static back position and start to accelerate forward. So I need to consider how that will look. So again, I'll just press Alt-D to create a blank frame for 22. That's still the previous frame. We'll deal with that in a second. Let me turn on onion skin and now trace again. This position, ready for him to start to move forward. And being a simple character, it shouldn't take too long to draw him in here. Using the eraser to get rid of that extra line. And by tracing, it keeps him solid, but it also allows a little bit of movement as I draw him differently each time. And I won't worry about his legs too much. He's coming forward, so we'll use the selection tool, move the center point to where the heel would be, and then rotate him coming forward. I think I'll actually close his eye, you know, to scrunch his eyes and moves. I think that could be useful to add in there. I'll also make him slightly shorter. It's fine. So let's grab the brush, draw his foot, because that's not moving yet. He's leaning forward, so his leg goes forward. His right leg has got to be coming up onto tiptoe. So let's look at that. His leg looks like it's getting longer actually, being there. So let's just keep that forward there. Good. So he's leaning forward. I want to change his eye, I did say. So his eye should be there, so let's actually, if I leave his eye where it was, we draw that eyelid at the top there, coming down. And then erase the bottom and make that smaller there. Yes, I did. Thank you, Tom. Eagle-eyed as always. Thank you. Like that. Because it's his right leg that's nearest to us there. So the next drawing again, I press Alt-D. I need to change that to be the current one, so I press W. To bring the drawing up to number 22, it's the easiest way. So we've got two number 22s, and then because it's extended, I can press Alt-D to create another blank. So I'm going from there to there. So if I look at the two in-betweens, yeah, thank you, Tom, brilliant. So it's leaning forward, it started to ease out, you need to accelerate into it, because the next one is him moving away from it. So again, I'll grab the brush and I'll trace the previous drawing. And I love that, the curve of the bean shape there. And I'm just going to select him, make him a little bit smaller in there, I think. And then his eye is closed. So it's this squinty kind of look that I had last time. Let's do the mouth in the same place. I'm going to check on the Discord there. Shankism, you've made it. Thank you. Welcome. Okay, then now at his foot, he's starting to lean upwards here. So I'm not going to worry about that yet. So let's select it first and put him in the right position. Again, moving the center point to his, I'll move his heel up a little bit because he's starting to come onto tiptoes and moves around. As he's coming forward, sort of in between, let me just see that. So he comes down, I want him to reduce in height again on that one. So we've got sort of a nice arc as he comes down and then starts to go forward. Good, so let's just add the legs in for this one. It does, it really does. As you say, Maria, when you're drawing, when you've got a nice smooth curve, it's just, particularly for me, for when I'm tracing a previous drawing, because I've not got to worry about where the line's going, I can see where it's going, it's just following that line and feeling the curve. Okay, so his foot is starting to come off the ground here, so his toes are here. I will have them coming up as I had before. The current drawing is in between the two, so I draw his knee in between the two and the joint in between the two. So it really is an in-between, full in-between drawing. His foot is just picking up off the ground here. So let's make sure that's in between those two. His knee is starting to come forward and have it join again between those two. And I've got the leg stretching a little bit there, so I'm going to change the following drawing. So his leg doesn't seem to stretch as much. So in between, I can change the foot to be really in between those two. Good, so starting to come between there. Number 3, I want his eye closed again. I'm not worrying about the background, we've got some overlap here. With the background lines. And then he starts to run. So I've not got the hair in there, so let me just add where that will be. It's about halfway down his back there. He's got his nose as well. I'll add that in later. So let's see how that looks from starting to move away from here. So I've hit save. Save early, save often. Okay, that's smoothed that out nicely. So he leans back. I want him to wait a bit on his back foot. So let me add a couple more frames in there. I've got a pause in here because I've got drawing 3 held. I don't want that to happen. So let's look at that. Quite like that little arc where he curves down there. He seems to stop a bit dead at the beginning onto something else there. Then he comes back enough, so I'm going to bring him back even more, I think. Let me try the selection tool to adjust this first. I'm almost out of paper at the back here. So let me just try bring them right back to here. I need to change his foot, of course. That doesn't move that much, but let me just redraw that line on there. Again, it's only the rough, so we'll add that in later with the neat. Okay, let me take off the onion skin and see how that looks. Yep, I'm going to leave that. That's fine. So let's look at the later frames then. That one bothers me a little bit because he bends his knee down, it doesn't go forward. So I'm going to adjust that. Lean him a little bit further forward and move him forward as he bends down. And I'll in between into that. Just join these lines up, see how that looks. Give him more oomph as he jumps. Bring the playhead forward a bit so I can see just this one section playing. Turn off the onion skin, rewind and loop play this part. In fact, that is the ease in, I think, there. Let me zoom out. As I say, often when you see it smaller, it's easier to read. It does stop. It really stops. Number 19. Let me reduce that to 1 frame instead of 2. Yeah. I'm going to squash that down a little bit more. He bends his knee. Show the next frame so I don't go too mad. But let me take the selection tool again. In fact, erase the legs out of here. Take the selection tool. Really squash him right down. I think that one needs to be more of an ease in, number 11. So let me again take this one, bend them over a bit more and move them more towards the following drawing. Yeah, so it's really bending over much more there. Let's zoom out and take a look at that. Good, yeah, that's fine. That's a more powerful jump for me. And now I want to adjust him at the top to curve up to this little ball shape ready for falling down into the water. Possibly Tom. We'll take a look at that in a second. So Tom's suggesting to balance the squash down here, maybe the stretch at the top of the jump, maybe the stretch at the jump should be greater. Because we've got a little bit of stretch here. Yes, so here where he starts to jump, straighten himself up a little bit, so really almost arches back. In fact, here I'm going to again use the selection tool. Holding the control key, let me actually squash this head down a little bit as well. Try again. Control key, squash his head down, bring that in a little bit, and bring him over. So see me squash down to get smaller, ready for extending. Let me try see what I can do with the selection tool first. Because again, this is just the rough, so we'll draw it neater later. There we go. Now get the eraser, and then I'll draw in this line looking a little bit straighter. So straightening out, so here it really should be super straight. Before he starts to curl at the top. Yes, the eyes, I was thinking about the eyes the other day if I'd got them right. So let me add in a straight line here. If I can sort of draw a straight line, use the eraser, straighten that up a little bit. Yes. Let's look at the eyes then, of where they are. So he crunches down with his eyes closed, and then here is where he first needs to open it then. So let's erase that. And start to bring these eyebrows up a little bit, I think. So again, let's erase those here. No, that's not looking up enough. So make the pupil lots bigger, I'm thinking, to make it really obvious to see it. And his eye is now massive. So let's take away the bottom part and just bring that up a little bit. I'll try and get his eyebrows lifted upwards as though he's really looking up above his eyes there. So let me take away some of this. Let's bring this in here. Yeah, there you go, Tommy, you beat me to it. Having the eyebrows tilting backwards exactly right, as he's looking up. And then definitely close, taking the water. Because I've not changed his expression too much. I closed his eyes for the crunch down before and now at the beginning. So having them a little bit more expressive here, even though it's flying by quite quickly, I think you're right, would definitely be useful. So that's the first one, so when he's in the air, that should be even more so. Even more clearly looking up. We'll come back to the mouth in a second. I keep forgetting, Maria, about the charcoal brush. You hit save first. That if you draw quite firm, you get quite a narrow line. And if you draw quite lightly, you get this effect. You get the real charcoal effect. It's really pretty nice. And then obviously in between it, you get an in-between kind of feel. So you can add a lot of texture in, which I really like, and something that we'd lose when I do the inking later. Which again comes back to the design of the character and how they're going to look. I might need to come back to some of this to change my mind and decide exactly what texture brush or how he's going to be drawn and coloured in. Okay, so he's jumping up, his stretching is really straight out, and then before he curls up, I want him to have an in-between stage where he starts to curl over. So let me extend drawing 13. I press Alt D to add a blank drawing in, and this will show me the spacing in a second. Okay, so let me hit loop play on that. Yeah, because I do want him in the air for a while, so I've got space for another drawing in there of him curling over. So it's kind of like his standard shape, but a bit more curled over. So that's drawing 7. I'm drawing on 24, so let me onion skin 7 and just draw over this drawing here. Awkward Penguin, hello, welcome to the stream. Good to have you here. It's going really well, thank you. I'm really happy with how this animation's coming together. Yeah, colouring while keeping the texture, Maria. It's an interesting thing to do. Like I said a while back, I don't really want to hand colour, like using a brush, colouring over on every frame. So I'd ideally like to use the bucket fill. But it does flatten the colour a little bit. You lose a lot of that texture. Thanks, Alan. Appreciate that. So let's take this here, the rough size, and make it a little bit tighter at the top and at the bottom. Just putting a few markers of where the character is. We'll put it in place and then we'll see. We're going to move the eye, so I'll leave that there. And then we'll see if that's getting close or not. So turn on the onion skin for where it really is, using the selection tool to move that over. Let's see how I want it to go. So I want it to move up. It's still going quite quickly, so it's near the top. I think that's quite tight. So let's delete that and start again. Let me give the shape, the original shape that we've got here, just see how that looks then. So you actually doing any coding yourself, Alan, or have you still got an external company doing this? I believe you've got some external people looking into the coding side of things for your new app. Something like that. Again, selection tool, let's bring him over. He's starting to rotate around. Put him about a third near the end, I think. Not as high, obviously. Yeah, let me try that. Dr. Fetus. Who am I? Welcome. You've made it. Good to have you here. Follow the eye on the left there for the shape. There we are. And then again, keep that at the top. So his legs are starting to come up here. So the leg nearest to us is coming forwards and starting to come upwards a little bit more. And his right leg is sticking out in between those two. I'm trying to see it's coming out a little bit like that. We'll come back to the arms later. Right, that's kind of what you explained before, that you was requesting the features and somebody else was doing the actual work. Good, that's really good that they have. Some of the problems as people describe in OpenToonz is because the features have been put together by non-animators. So it functionally does what you want it to do, but when you try and use it in a real world, it doesn't quite do what you need because an animator hasn't used it. So that's really good. They're doing some animation as well. Okay, the selection tool, I've realised I've moved him further forward than he should be, so let's bring him back a little bit. He is starting to curl around, but not all the way. So let's take off these onion skins, rewind, and see how that top of the jump looks. I'd need to do the end so it doesn't stretch out again, I want him to bomb into the water. Yep, I need to change his eyes at the top as we talked about. So he should be still looking up. Yes, unneeded tools, exactly. Let's get rid of this eyebrow. It should be looking up still, because that happens all too quickly. Even those at the top. And his eye, he was going to go into a blink previously, so we'll stop that. And again, let's sort of in between the eyebrows starting to come down straight. He is turning over, so he's no longer looking up, so he's kind of that sort of an angle, I think. Ooh, subframe layers per frame. Okay. Yeah, I can't wait to see it. Really can't. It'd be quite funny, being as you was one of the people that introduced me to OpenToonz, if when you've created your own software, I transferred over to that. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. So still looking up there, and then he's now hitting the peak. So I want his eye to start to come down. That's fine. I think actually the eye might be okay where it is there. I do want some in between his at the top there, and another one as he starts to fall. Absolutely, management. One of the things, features about OpenToonz Tahoma that I like, I come from a development background, so I would, is the fact that each level is saved in its own file, and you've got a bunch of files that make up the project. But a lot of new people find it so confusing to not have a single file. And the fact that you can choose to save the scene, so in Tahoma 2D, in the other save options, you can choose to save the scene. That only saves the timeline and not the drawings. That confuses everyone at the very beginning. So are you planning to have a single file for your save file, or a bunch of files? Yes, that's right, Tom. Absolutely right. Trying to meet many different needs. Yes, yeah, holds. I understand, yeah. Easy in capital letters. I really hope so. I can't wait. Can't wait. So I'm going to change drawing 17 and 18 to, rather being stretched out, now I've decided what he's actually going to do, to be instead have him curled up and falling more towards his back. So let me select those drawings and just delete them, throw them away. And then I'm going to copy drawing 16. And as you say, Maria, having his eyes closed because he's about to land in the water. So let me take the first part of his head here. Using the selection tool, I'm going to curl him over even more. And then bring that right round and curl up the bottom part of his body even more, like that. So let's pop his eyebrow roughly there. Yes. Yeah, I like the separate files. I think it's really useful. I think it's handy when you come to load a level from one scene into another. Just to be able to browse to that level on disk is really good. If something goes wrong, which you shouldn't really need to think about, but if it does, it only affects one file, not all of them. but it's hard to manage. So the fact you can choose to save only the scene or the drawings is bad for newbies, I think. So a single save command would fix that. And also we could choose to save all the files in a package, in a folder, but then also a zip file of that folder, which is a single file. And this is something that Critter does for one of its file types. If you, I can't remember the format now, if you save as one of the file types, it creates a single file. If you rename the file to .zip, you can then unzip it, and it's actually just a number of files zipped up together. So perhaps we could save a single file where you choose to do a file save as, and then the project file elsewhere. I don't know. That could cause it to be more complicated. Yeah, all files packaged as zip. Awkward Penguin, spot on. ORA, that's the one. That's the one I've used before. I heard talk about. Yeah, the ORA file format, which is just a zip file. And it's something that I did for my backup tool that I use for OpenToonz, that it saves a zip file, but it's just the whole package zipped up. So it's a single file. So I'm going to, again, squint his eye closed. We'll come back to his mouth in a second. Of whether it's going to be open or not. Let me just get things in place first. Let's move his legs up a little bit. Like that. So again, selection tool, let's actually move him to where we want him. He's still rotating round, but coming down. Yeah, a container file, yeah. Yes, this is bound to be huge, but I like the areas idea, and also considering the workflow. So something I've seen, I saw a demonstrator from the new Critter 5, is that you can create an animatic of just some static drawings to explain your story, and then for each animatic you can then almost create a separate project for each one of those, and it stays linked to the animatic. So that might be something, I don't know if that can be considered in that way. So you can actually start by drawing a rough storyboard, then an animatic, then take that over to an animation for rough ink and paint, and then adding effects and final render. Yeah, from nothing to something. Yes, but that's obviously a huge ask. And 18, I'm going to have the same drawing but just positioned differently. So I'm going to trace over exactly what we've got here. In fact, that comes a bit tight, so let me go a bit wider. Give it a nice smooth curve if I can. Do the line in multiple parts to make sure I can really get the curves as I need to. Yeah, that's right. I find the timeline really tricky to use and to look at in Critter 5, but I've not really used it enough, so I can't comment that strongly, I'm afraid. But this again is why I like OpenToonz. The way it works just fits for me. So we'll see how yours fits into that. So let's see where we are here. Nice, number 18. Oops. Selection tool, not the brush. Bring him down. Again, a little bit more rotation. And let's see if I've moved him enough for that pace. So turn off the onion skin and loop play that. It seems to squash too much and then stretch out a little bit. I have a bit of a wobble at the top, so I'll look at that in a second. So would you be adding some sort of a plugin facility for adding effects in your program, or assume that can be added afterwards? No, 100% right about the engine behind it is rusty and not up to date. This is what the developers are struggling with now, that the code is 10-15 years old and hasn't really been updated enough. I want him to rotate more. Let me add that in on that. Thank you, appreciate that. I've done some little bits of frame by frame before, and let's say like down here, if I hit that, a bit of a walk and run cycles and some little bits of animation. But this is kind of my first, probably honest go at doing some frame by frame. I did a couple of things with this a little monster as well a few months back, because I saw Tony Gaddis, who's a friend of the channel and animates in OpenToonz, and he draws lots of little monsters, which is why I'm doing the same here. He draws lots of little monsters with animations doing different actions and doing different things, and his designs inspired me to create this design. And he put out a challenge a couple of months ago, 2 challenges in fact, to do some an animation based on his monster in the situation he described, and it's basically moving the monster from one side of the screen to the other in whatever method you wanted. So I did a couple of animations to fit his challenge, which I was really proud of. They worked really well. But no, this is the point of the next few weeks before Christmas, was really, and a little bit beyond, to get into frame by frame animation, start to get a feel for a good workflow that works for me. I can't wait. Yeah, I can't wait either. Do you have a name for this software yet that you're allowed to tell us? Or is that still top secret? So this is where his belly bounced. Parry Parry, hello, welcome. Good to have you back again. Not seen you around here for a while. Just going to bring that up a little bit more. And I want to bring this round a little bit to show him starting to spin round nearer to the green than the red as he comes up here. That's the bounce, he squashes in there, and let me get some more rotation on all of these as he comes round. So he's trying to bomb into the water. I don't know if that's a phrase that you all use, to go bombing, where you jump into the water like cannonball. I think it's moving too far forward there, so bring him back a little bit. Yes, I thought you might have one. Okay, no problem. Absolutely, Adaji, we'll keep our ears open. Let me bring these, I don't know if I need any extra frames at the top here necessarily, so I might bring these closer to each other. So let me just see where I am. That's the top, then there. Let me look at the full thing, that might help. It's enough onion skin. Take a step back and have a look at it. Of course it will have fewer features. For some people, a bit like in my day job, people using Excel or Word Office programs, people only use 10% of the features, usually if not even 5%. So the basic features are being able to draw, onion skin, you know this yourself, to have onion skin, easily manipulatable timing controls, and then rendering, is kind of the minimum light features you need. So I'm intrigued in which features appear in the first version, but yeah, I wouldn't expect to have detailed compositing and the schematics and that kind of thing. It does, Tom. You can't have too much forward momentum though, because he'd fall off the side of the screen. I did think about having the camera moving across with him a little bit, but I don't want to start moving the camera just yet. It wouldn't be too hard. Yes, a good brush engine that feels good, yes. Because if I picture the curve coming up over here, in fact, if I go to the peak, that one, and then show the onion skins before and onion skins after, it's a bit of a upside down V rather than a curve. So perhaps if I take a little look at that and reduce that forward momentum so the peak is more to the left and it's more curved, more arced than straight. Yes, for the leaning back, yeah. Right, okay. Phone number 2 from contact of jump to the air, you'd stretch. Do you mean that one there? He's stretched a little bit as he's gone straight, but not a lot. So he jumps up there. That one there, we're thinking? I don't know why I draw such a large selection box around him. Try again. But it's pretty close to the next one though. Let me bring him back a little bit. Gives me more space to get to there. He does look awfully fat. So let me slim him down a little bit. You know what? That is one of my failings. I really struggle with extreme squash and stretch. Bring that back. So let me. There we go. I'm having some trouble with selecting the corners. It pops into shape quite quickly there. So let me perhaps stretch that out a bit as well. So thin him out a little bit and stretch him out there a little bit. So he's popping back into his proper shape. Okay, let me try. I'll meddle with the top because that doesn't seem to quite go. Animation overload. Hello. How you doing? I'm really well today. Doing some more frame by frame animation. Because it's quite fat, bring that in a little bit overlap that there. That's really close, so again, let's place this a bit more in between and look at the top of his head where that is. Then bring this one down so it's closer to those two to flatten out the peak of that movement. Good, that's good. It really is, Penguin. Squash and stretch I really struggle with. Trying to exaggerate one of the 12 principles, I've really struggled to do. I can see it, I like how it looks, but putting it into my own things, I really struggle with. Let's just see how this looks here. Yeah, my characters look too solid normally. So adding that stretch there really helps, I think. I would love you to as well, to see what you came up with. Because it'd be easier to show me what you're thinking as well. And I'm sure when I can see it, I will see it. It's difficult to know to explain on here. Yeah, I know what you meant, yeah. Just zoom out a little bit. It's like a ball of jelly doing that. Yeah. So then you were talking about the first part of the animation. Adding an extra frame at the start. So whereabouts are you thinking here? Where was your suggestion? Yeah. You know, I'm happy to share the project, Alan, if you wanted to take a look at it. It is exactly, AO. That's why I'm doing these projects on a Sunday, to get some practice in, to hear your feedback and suggestions, and then to bring them in and see what I can do to make it better. Are you thinking in between each of these 3 frames, or the beginning or end there? So if you can see the frame numbers, where are you thinking for? Yeah, I'm happy to. What would be easier for you, to render this out as an animation, GIF or MP4, or to render out as images to share, or to share the Tahoma project file, the project folder? So in between 7 and 8. Yes, that's coming later on. And his arms. I've not popped his arms in there yet. I'm happy to. No, I'm more than happy to. Let me come back to here. Hit save. Let me go to my project folder. Just delete those outputs, because I don't need that. So if I zip up the whole project, are you a member of my Discord, Alan? Yep, I understand, Tom. I'll do that. I've got the project as well, so I'll share both. Let's wait for it to catch up. Here we are. So if I go to my scene settings, I'll turn down the alpha, so there's no background. I'll leave the actual background drawing in, shall I? Unless you'd like me to remove that. Output settings 1 to 36 is fine. PNG, and save and render. Okay, so I've got the project itself and I've got the PNG images coming now. What's the best way to get it to you, Alan? I'll pop it in the Discord server for you, Tom, or anybody else to take a look at. So again, I'll go to the OpenToonz folder, livestream chat. Okay, so here you go, Tom. So in the live stream chat channel, I've put the project, Tahoma project zip file there. So just unzip that, put it into your Tahoma folder, and then you'll be able to load that. And if I go to the outputs, there they all are. I'll zip up my outputs folder. Send to zip. And this is PNG images. Image sequence. So that's the image sequence uploaded as well, so you can take a look at that instead if you prefer to. That's right, Tom, he is. With some tutorials, animations, songs and rapping. Yeah, it's good stuff. Okay, so you've got the project and the image sequence shared on the Discord server. So yeah, would it be best to send by email, Alan, for you to take a look at? Okay. Which channels are you a member of? Because I cleared out a lot of my old Discord channels a while back, maybe a year or so back. So I'm no longer a member of your channel, Alan. Sorry. How big is the file? So it's the image sequence is 334K. So that's not too bad. And the project file zip is 1.4 meg. So both quite tiny. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, to be honest, temporarily, if you're on Discord now, if you want to click the link in my YouTube description just to join the Discord for a second, my Discord, I can zip this over to you, and then you can soon leave the channel, no problem. But I don't think I can find you if you're not in the same groups as me. Are you in the OpenToonz group? Let me take a look here. No, I don't think so. And then there's Noble Frugal Studios. No, can't see you here either. Yeah, no, I don't think so. Yeah, I was in 3 or 4 or 5 groups, I think, Discord servers. And it's taken a long time working through all the chat and joining in the chat. And I found I was spending too long, really, chatting with other people about either their problems or just conversation, that I ended up leaving a few groups just to give me some time, to free up some time. And while you're doing that, let me as we talked about, extend this drawing. Press Alt-D to add a blank frame. I'll choose the following frame, and let me add an in-between here, as you suggested. There he is. Hello, hello. So now I'll send a private message. Ah, there you are. Oh, of course, you're in my previous chat. I could have found you in there. So I've got two zips here. The first one is the project file. And the next one are just the PNG image sequence. So you can choose which is more useful for you. Yeah, me too, Penguin. I've got so many, and I've reduced it down to what we've got now, 5, and I'm only in one of them because I've worked on a collaboration with them. Yeah, exactly. It is a distraction at times. I just I've not got enough time for at the minute. So yes, I've left a few, unfortunately. I mean, I received a message from I won't name him, but another guy whose server I was a member of, and he sent me a message the other day, and he asked if I'd seen something on the server, and I'd left his server again a year or so ago, so I felt a bit bad for that. But time is precious. I've set it to 10 FPS at the minute, just to try and get a feel for the timing. I will be putting this up to 24, I think, and putting it on 2s, so in effect it's 12 FPS. So it's not a number at the minute, but that's just circumstance of where we came from. So let me trace over the following drawing then, and then I'll pop this as an in-between. Now, as I say, I know when I do add movement to characters or bouncing balls or whatever in animations, I do tend to make them a little bit stiff. I really do. It's something I'm very well aware of. So yeah, any tips or advice or suggestions, or seeing what you can do with the same movements, Tom, Alon and anybody else, be really interesting. Yes, the final will be 24. No, not a problem. I assume you're still on the stream so you can hear me talking rather than having me typing to you. No problem. I'm here. I'm here for the chat. I've often said when I'm running these streams, although I want to do drawing and animation, I want to learn about animation myself on the streams, teach a few things about program on the streams while I'm here. If I spend all day just talking because of questions coming in and I don't do any drawing, that's still a good stream for me at the minute, for what I'm trying to achieve. And for the community that joins us to join in and join in the conversation and start to pick up their pace, I think it's worthwhile for me. Good, nice, no problem at all. Yeah, see what you can do. Be interesting to see what changes you make and how yours looks. So again, let me just copy over roughly what I can see. It's okay for it to be a little bit different. It adds that little wobble on, that's fine. Using the selection tool, I then highlight tool, move the rotate center to his heel, go in between both drawings, and then I can change this to be easing into the final drawing there. And now if I use the brush, I can finish off by adding the feet so that it doesn't move too much, and this leg here. Right. Let me rewind that and see what that adds to it. Yeah. Okay, so that again gives that a little bit of ease at the beginning. see the difference between those two. I think I'm going to do the same again. I'm going to add another in between here, so I'll press Alt D. I copy from the next drawing because it needs to be pretty close towards that. I actually shrunk his head down a little bit. So let me again trace. Let me hit save first. Now trace over the preceding drawing, but I'll start to introduce that shrink on here. Where's the mouse pointer gone? The current resolution should be standard HD. Check on camera settings. Yep, 1920 by 1080 pixels. Yes, thank you. Okay, so let's draw this slightly shorter. No problem. I'm intrigued. I say exaggeration, squash and stretch. Although I do understand the concepts, I do struggle with actually implementing them. So again, I'm going to draw the leg, bottom part of the leg there. Let me actually find the right zoom. There we are. Selection tool. Let's put it into place first with the center point at the heel. It's easing out of. Actually, I made it too small, I think. I don't want it to shrink too much. Here we go. There we are. A little bit of a reduction, not too much. So selection tool, select it all, center point to the heel, move him slightly forward, but favouring the start, very much so. That's it. And then we can add his legs in afterwards now, with the foot not moving there. He's starting to lean forward, so the knee goes forward a little bit. So does his joint on the body. And the foot, I'll draw the same as the previous one. But with just a little bit of moving forward there. Oh, hang on. You're possibly right. Let me check my output settings. Thank you, I've got a shrink of 3, so it's a third of the size. Let me render it out again at full size. Thank you for that. PNG, save and render. Yeah, that's the easiest way before we start. It'll give you a clearer image, as well as being just the full size that we need. So let's wait for that to complete. Yes, again, this is what I was saying earlier to people joining the stream or new to the stream. When you start a new session, to check the options of your tools. So when you're rendering out, check your rendering options are correct. When you change to the brush or the eraser, check that those options are correct, because it may well be set for something different. No problem at all. It's what we're here for, Alan. And if I'm going to learn something as well from what you're going to be adding to this animation, it's all good. That's what we're here for. So this is going a little bit slow, and I think that's just my system being busy at the minute. So I've re-rendered it again. So I'll take the outputs directory, I'll zip that up. I thought the size was a little bit small. That's 1.8 meg now. PNG full size image sequence. Right, so that's shared now, Alan, so you can get to that. I'll also pop it into the live stream chat, Tom, for you to take a look at if you want to. So I'll delete the old one from there. So there's only the full size one that's available if you want to take it. Good, thank you. Thank you for pointing that out. Yeah, that should have the full resolution now that you're expecting to see. So let me onto a small thing here, and I'm going to take the eraser and to bring down his eyebrow a little bit. So I'm going to colour that in there and bring that down to here. Not quite enough, so let's erase quite a lot to bring it down. Ready from closing his eyes. Okay, so let's see how that looks. There's a little bit of a jump at the beginning. His eyebrow, his eye seems to close, it starts off larger. There, that's a lot larger. So I need to just change that. Yeah, so again, just take off some of the eyebrow. And bring it down to make the eye smaller there. Excellent, love to see it. Can't wait to see what you do. And for those watching, I'll share that on the stream as well so you can see if you send me something during the stream. If not, I'll share it on the Discord server so you can see what he's suggesting for that. So that I can see is 2 squares. Let's just round that off. But that is the point of this sketch stage, to sort out these little niggles. And again, yeah, I can sort of visualise it being a bit snappier with some extra zoom lines and a bit of squash and stretch, as you say, when he moves. So that's at 10 frames a second. Then put it to 12. We was talking about bringing it up to 24 frames a second for the final version. So imagine it on 2s at 24 frames a second. Let's see how that is. So that's the snappier pace it should be. So 12 frames a second for the current one on 2s. So I need to just see this a few minutes just to see and get a feel for how he's moving myself. Then I want to add his arms and his nose in and his hair. It still looks like he's tied up in a beanbag or something without his arms. So I want to add those on. So I can do that quite easily, I think. I can do the run cycle really straightforward because I've already got that in this animation I did the other week, so I know how he runs. So I've got a look at how his arms should look. So I could put those in first and then add the arms around the rest afterwards. Yes, I was thinking that myself, actually going to 24, because then where everything is shown on 2s, I could choose to show that frame for just 1 frame, so it goes a lot quicker and a lot snappier. So it allows you to add that extra little bit of snappiness in between. I'll hang on for that for a second though. As you say, it's quite a good base. I'm happy with the base for that, of how that looks. I think I want to get his arms in. It's very, very armless. I don't like that. So I can start from there where he starts to run with his arms really pushed out. Oh, good idea, Tom. So Tom shared his version of this animation. Let me bring this over. Here we go. On the Discord server, so if I click on that. So it's basically reduced the size of the whole screen to give him more space. And that wouldn't be a bad idea, Tom. Thank you. Thank you for that. Oh, of course it is, Dan. Yeah. Alon. Would you like me to render it out without the background? Would that be better for you? Happy to do so, if it would be. Yeah, that's a good idea to reduce that. So the minute is very near the sides of the screen. It just about fits. I'm tempted to try it, but I'm thinking it's okay for now. But if I might want to extend it later, I might do that. And what I do is I use the animate tool to reduce down the size of this column, extend the level size to give me more room to draw, and then add in the extra drawings on the sides as necessary. But I think I'll leave that for now. Let's get his arms in place, shall we? So what do we want? So he's going to step back on his left leg. So he really wants to bring his arms back, ready to run, and then launch into the run. So his right leg's forward. So his right arm should be back at that stage. So starting off here again, using the turnaround to see the sides of his arms I've kind of got. They're coming kind of from the centre part of his body is where they're joining. So his arm really is just sort of hanging there at the minute. So going pose to pose. Let's take a look at where his right arm would be here. So his left arm right at the centre of his body. His right leg is kind of forward there, so his left arm needs to come back a little bit. Yes, more room for the splash. That's kind of my concern at the minute, which I'll come back to later. I think I might need to do that. Even if I don't need room for the character on the left, as you said, give room for the splash. And his left arm coming forward. It's sort of like that. How did I do it for his run cycle? Yeah, kind of sticking out a little bit for the elbow. I kind of want him ready to go. So I can go almost straight ahead in effect with this. Because it's the whole column I'd be resizing anyway, Tom and Maria. So So it doesn't matter if I add more drawing to this now, I'll still be resizing the whole thing. So this is the very much the ease in, so it doesn't move too much. That's moved a little bit further. So now we're going in between those two, so his arm really wants to be in between them. Although perhaps I need another closer in between there. And that hand isn't anywhere to be seen. Let's see that. Yeah, that's fine. And then he's got to start to come forward. So again, it's a small movement. It's almost the reverse of what I was doing a second ago. So again, going straight ahead, really. That one's fine. I want it to come more forwards here. I keep checking the Discord to see if you've shared anything yet. I'm rushing a bit too quick to wait for that, but we'll see there. So it's starting to come forward quite a lot, so his arm needs to be in the middle really. Right, so starting to lean forward. So again, I'll look at the reference for the run cycle I had. It's not leaning yet, but that's the kind of position he's getting into. That's the bent knee, and then he's about to stretch up there. Animation Overload, thank you for joining us today. You have a great day too. Hopefully catch you next week. See you later. No problem, Alan. I won't. Do anything you like to him. Anything you like. I'm intrigued as to what you do. Again, adding too many frames is something else I do too often, and I want to try and get a better feel for that, for the number of frames, to get the movement, to get it snappier rather than smoother. It needs to sometimes be quicker, I realise that. So yeah, feel free, absolutely. Right, so the final full stretch, number 4, is this one here with his arm coming forward like that, and the reverse arm coming backwards here. So that's where he's on tiptoe. So if I could look at each drawing where he's on tiptoe, and I can use the onion skin to do the opposing arm for that, to save trying to rethink how things might go. Oops, put the hand in the right place. Right, that's where he's coming down now. The arm is still up here, I think. We'll work on the movements for that later. Good. So number 4 is the drawing with his arms fully stretched. And he's in the air. Oh, okay. Tom's got another picture for me. Yes, nice. So you can see the centre of, what's the word? Yeah, centre of mass. So you can see the bigger picture. So you can see almost all the movement in a single image. Let me erase that. It's accidentally drawing. I didn't intend. Okay, so his arms are up here. He's stretched. He's in the air. They're at the widest. Oh, and here's my tablet being peculiar now because it's not drawing the thin lines. Let me open up the tablet driver. That usually helps. Yes, that's the intention for the character to accelerate. Let me bring this over so we can see. So these are the dots to show the centre of mass, hopefully showing the character bouncing. Then when he comes up, it should be slowing down at the top. We might add another frame or two, as we talked about in the chat earlier, to have him floating in the air almost cartoonily, unnaturally long, and then acceleration down to the ground. Yes. Okay, so lost my pressure on my pen. It's really annoying. Something that happens from time to time, unfortunately. Let me go to my standard colour. If you notice, it drew an extra line there that I didn't draw. It's being really peculiar. It's what it does sometimes. Bring down the size here. Right, let me try with that. Oh, I'm having the issue that I had before, that when I come near the tablet, it draws a dot. Right. Oh, that's really annoying. I know last time I had to restart my computer to fix that issue. So let me see if I can get around it now. And then the rear hand still wants to be up here somewhere. Not too large though. No, still not happening. I've tried doing that. Was it Windows Ink related? I can't remember what made it do it before. Let me look at the preferences, because this has been fine all day today so far. So Windows Ink isn't currently enabled on here. On the driver, Windows Ink isn't enabled. Let me toggle that on and off and apply it. Yeah, it's still putting a dot here. There, if you can see on the screen there, it's putting a dot when I move the pen towards it. Let me try it in here. Oh, in fact, one thing it was before, oh no, I had game mode turned on before, whatever game mode is, and that caused a problem. So let me try turning on Windows Ink and turn it off again, although you need to restart for that. Yeah, it's still doing it. I'm gonna have to, let me try restarting it to Tahoma, see if that helps. And if it doesn't, I'll just continue for a second without and see how we get on. Taking the time, it's 6 o'clock, so I've been going for 3 hours so far. So I can't go for too much longer really, but let's see how we get on here. Okay, so where are we? Here. Let me choose the correct pen, make sure I'm in brush mode, go to the correct level. No, it's still doing the non-pressured version. Let me turn that off and on. No, it's doing the same. I don't know what could have done it. As you know, it happened once before. When if I restart my computer and start drawing, it'll be fine again. I know it will. But I can't do that while I'm streaming, so I'll have to ignore it for now. And I'll just use this brush and see where we can get to today. I've just done so, Alan. Just restarted Tahoma. That didn't do it. Accidental hotkey. Yeah. Which one? It could well be. I don't know which one it is. It could well be a driver issue. There has been 1-2 issues with my driver. But every time I test it here, I can change pressure. It recognises I'm pressing in different pressures. That's fine. So I can do it light, or I can press on hard and get a fatter line. Don't know. It's something that's happened before, and I don't know what it is. I reported it to Malong John, the developer, and he took a look and couldn't find a problem. So I don't know. Mushroom Man is asking, is it easier to use OpenToonz with a graphics tablet than it is on a PC? I'm not sure what the question is there, because OpenToonz you have to run on a computer, so it's on a PC, a Mac or a Linux, and the graphics tablet is there just as the input device to replace the mouse for drawing. So you need both, but it's easier to draw with the graphics tablet than with the mouse, for sure. A lot easier. Yes. Okay, let me do that. Let me kill the graphics driver. This is something I have done before with end task. Yep, that's disappeared, and that's gone from there. Then launch it again. It's one of those things that doesn't happen very often, and when it does, it's only on the streams. It happens, of course. Okay, so I've got my driver running again now. Let me kill Tahoma as well. Save all, don't want to lose anything, and run Tahoma. Dividge, hello there. It's a different kind of effect. It's a different look, drawing by hand, frame by frame, rather than using the plastic tools. Totally different kind of look, and it's also good practice. I think it's you learn a lot more about animation, which is what I'm trying to do by drawing frame by frame. Let me go to the frame I was drawing on. Here, zoom in, choose the brush, choose my charcoal brush, make sure I'm on the right level. No, it's still not taking the pressure. Okay, I'm going to move on, and I shouldn't have drawn quite so much there. Use the selection tool. Delete. Let me just move on anyway for this. just to get this working so far, see where we are, and I think I'll have to call it a day after that. So let me again turn on the onion skin just so I can see the position of where I got the arms last time. Right, so that's the in between. So this one, previous one starts here. The middle one will be in the center, and I'm on the one in between. Let me choose that grey brush. Okay, I'm hanging on, don't worry. Yep, it is. The skeleton tool using cutout animation is very much a shortcut. And I'll leave a little bit of the hand coming out of the back. Then the next frame is kind of the center point. So I'm looking at the center of his body with the arm sort of down the center. So there's no left arm because that's on the opposite side of his body. Then the arms are stretched out again. And again is in the air. So this one is the arm at the widest part, and it's his left arm. So that needs to start further back and come quite a long way out and quite high. No, I've not had a chance yet, Jim P. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah, Gartic phone. Again, I will take a note of this again. In fact, I've still got that file on my desktop, I believe. Let me just check on that. There we go. Yes, Gartic phone. Yes, I must take a look at that. I really must. I'll leave that on my screen. I've typed it on a notepad document, and we'll see. I'll take a look at that for next week. See what we can do with it. Someday. No, that'd be really nice. Be really good to do so. Okay, so his left arm is here coming up on the previous frame. So even higher for that one. The next one is in between again. So it's his left arm coming down. I'm looking at where it's joined here. And his right arm coming down there. The left arm is coming down at the back. Yulichek's back. Hello, Yulichek. Then we're on the middle section. So his arm is in the centre of his body, with it spinning round to come towards the front. The left arm is behind him so he can't see. And now he's squashing down. So I want his left arm to kind of pull in tight, ready for jumping up. Is kind of the effect I'm after. I'm getting lots of spurious extra lines and dots because of this tablet issue. Yeah, it'd be fun, Maria. I think it would be. So I need the arm in the middle. Not super long. So possibly this arm starting to come backwards then. Would it come backwards here? And his left arm coming up like Superman almost, one arm forward. If he's doing that, really the nearest arm to us should come forward. But then at the top he does pull his legs up and his arms join together. His arms and legs want to come together like that to hold them in. Let me take a look at that without the onion skin and watch that run through. So have a think about where his arms need to go. And in fact, before I continue with that, what I think I might do is I'll take another short break, freshen up, stretch my legs, and then pop back here and finish this off for today. See if Tom and Alan have something to share with us. I'll be here for another half hour, 3/4 maybe. So if you've got anything to share, it'd be great to see that. And then we'll see you back here and see where we get to. So I'll be back here in about 5 minutes. See you then. Hello there, welcome back. Oh, I've come into studying. Let me change back to the drawing room. There we go. Ready to carry on with this. Yes, that'd be something to think about. Absolutely. Just pop the music off there. That's better. Then you can have your own music on without worrying about what I'm playing. It certainly is something to think about. Yeah, we'll have a look into that, see what we can do for doing some animation together. So yeah, I was looking at his arms. I just need to add a final few drawings for his arms of where they are when he jumps upwards. And I was thinking as well of possibly drawing his arms and legs a little bit thicker than just stick figure to make them more prominent. So I might look into that when we do the inking. I think this one here, I need to have his arm more of a straight down. Then when he jumps up, if it doesn't keep the holds, it'll just import as a single frame for each one, I guess. Can you not? Would it not render each frame as a separate drawing? So you've got the timing in there. So let me bring his arm coming up, so it's straight down. So bring it forward a little bit. His legs have come up here. And his body's stretched so his arm can sit there like that. Yep, I know, yep, that's fine. I mean, you could share the drawings, I guess, and then possibly a screenshot of your timing of the frames, and I could space it out to match maybe. And again, I want his arms to be coming forward. Again, lots of spurious little lines appearing because it's try for trouble. Here we are. Now his legs are up. So he's holding his knees there. And here too. It flies past quite quickly, so I need to don't need to worry too much about where the position of those are. You get a feel, I think, for where his arms are and what he's holding on to. So let me just rewind that and play that through. Hit save, make sure that's all saved so I don't lose anything. His arms don't come up, there's no momentum on his arms at all in there. That needs to change. So let me replace these arms on the upward movement. and then he can start to grab his knees. So you raise this and bring his hands towards his knees, like that, ready for grabbing them on the next one. So we'll see how that looks. So for the onion skin, and let's see. Okay. Yeah, that's not too bad. Just checking through the comments now from Alan there. You mentioned the body size changes. I did actually trace the body size for quite a lot of the movements. So from the beginning here and then along here, they're all traced and just rotated. So that shouldn't change too much, apart from a couple of places where I shrink him down here. I purposely shrink his body size down to push him into that run there. So let's just check what you've shared over on Discord here. I've got a couple of things. I've got one of Tom's here. So if I bring that over, that's what Tom's been working on. Very stretchy, I like it. Okay, so it's an MOV file. Let's see how that looks. Let me open that. See if that'll play okay for me. It should do. I've got VLC Media Player installed. Right, let me bring that over. Here we go. So turn on loop play. Let's make it full screen. We can all see clearly. No, that's not wanting to play, unfortunately. What I could try and do, let me see if Tahoma will let me load it in. So I'll close this scene down so I don't affect that at all. Let me run Tahoma again. We'll see how this goes first, because you can often drop video files in and FFmpeg will just work out what it is. So let me start a temporary new project. So create a new project and a new scene. You drag and drop that in, see if it likes it. Choose to import it. See what this does here. Take a minute for it to decide if it can work with it or not. Let's see how that plays. I saw the impact there. Let me drop down the playback speed, 50% as you say. Yes. Yeah, that's a lot of power. There's a good old squash you've got that going there. So I think that's virtually the same at the beginning. You see, it's that kind of exaggeration that I find really difficult to do, because that's so extreme to squash him down. I would never draw him that size, but it works. Right, so there you go again. That's the stretch you was talking about, of really exaggerating it. Right, so you've stretched him from the original position, keeping his backside in the right place, in the same place, and then his head is at the same position of the next frame, so it's not in between them, it's actually stretching from them. Good, nice. Yes, I mean I was using scaling really for because it's a sketch level. I'm going to redraw the whole thing on another level anyway, neatly. Yeah. Yes. But yeah, that's absolutely mad. I'd never draw that. Never draw that. But it really works. And then there's an extra one of yours you've put in to smooth at the top. Yeah, we were talking about adding some extra in there. And then a bit of whoosh lines at the bottom. So let's just play that again, full speed. Yes. Thank you. Well, now I will. Now I'll try for sure. And that's at 12. Let me bring it back to 24. Oh, that's right. I'm just checking that wasn't the right speed. So it's on 12 for the speed you was after for this. I can see, yes. Yeah, it is those areas I really need to work on. I need to take a look at this off the stream, away from the stream, and see how you've done that again to get another feel for it. But I can see what you've done there. More squash, a lot more stretch. I think I'm always scared of characters looking like a ball of jelly, ball of rubber, stretching too much. Thank you, yeah. I'm not sure about going back to my animation now I've seen this. Yes. Okay. Yeah, that's crazy. As in crazy how well it works. Yeah, it really gives you that cartoony feel. That's definitely something I need to work on, because I was keeping them too realistic almost. That stretch is extraordinary. Going from 34, the fact the top part of his head stretches, his leg moves a little bit, but the bottom part doesn't, and then the top of his head snaps, stays in the place, and the body snaps into place. Yeah. Yes, it's part of the background's part of the render, but what I can do is I can let me think. If I click on the bar at the top to select all the frames, then go to clean up, I can choose clean up, and then clean up all, and that's the effect of cleaning up scanned in drawings which are normally drawn on plain white paper. So by running clean up, it should remove all of the white. It sometimes affects the lines and how it looks, but it's a good way at least to get to the onion skins. So let me see how that looks. So it depends which drawing you wanted to see onion skins, but yes, there you go, look, you can see the onion skin a lot easier. Does that help? I'll say at the bottom, it matches where the character is, and then at the top it matches there. No, not at all, Alan. This is what I wanted to see. I wanted to. It'd be difficult for you to explain this in words for me to be able to draw this. So by seeing a picture, it's a lot easier to see what you're doing with this. Yeah, you really can, Maria, see the proportions in there. That it's thinned out a little bit from its chubby little body. And obviously the stretch is kind of almost a camera blur, so it doesn't need to thin out fully to keep the volume, I guess. Just thin out a little bit to simulate that changing. Yeah, no, thank you for that. That's really useful. I'm just thinking now, I don't want to copy that for mine, but I kind of want to certainly use that for inspiration. You've got the extra frames at the top that I wanted to do to slow him down. Just play that back again for everybody. Yes, yeah, I can see the extra skinniness in there. I was just noticing that actually, Alan, at the start. There's one of yours. Let me use the cursor keys. I can step through a lot easier then. One frame at a time. Because you've got these on 2 frames each as he leans backwards. I think so, Maria. I think that's the right word, yeah. So they're on 2 frames, so it's moving backwards slower. But then it's coming forwards in ones there. I can see. Yeah. But that's squashed down there. I would never do that. So I really need to have a play with that. Thank you. I'm surprised you kept that drawing there. I almost would have expected the stretch instead of that one. Let me just try taking 34 out for a second and bring the rest back. Yeah, because that goes too quickly there, doesn't it? No, absolutely. Thank you, Marie. You beat me to it. English is perfectly fine. Absolutely fine. Although when I'm reading your words, I can hear your accent in my head from your videos. No, it's not. It's too fast, isn't it? It's not snappy. It's yeah. You can see it being that it's removed. And pop that back in and play it again. Yeah. Yes. I love messing about with dust particles. I've not done any of that in this current animation. I wasn't sure. I wasn't thinking about really doing any in this until someone mentioned it earlier. But you've done the dust particles in a style that I've not worked with yet. That kind of almost like a splash, like you get with the water, as somebody said earlier, pop it on the water. That circle effect I've not used before. I've used kind of puffs of dust coming out of the back. So that's again something to look at and work at, and you can see the curves it's coming upwards. Yeah, thank you for that. That's really useful. There's lots in there for me to take a look at. Yeah, I'm going to come back to that. No, that's been really good anyway, Alan. Whether I use it for this animation or similar ones, I will definitely use it for others in the future. And it's good to have an example in front of you. That's a lot easier to see than someone typing words saying, add some dust particles or add some effects. It's like seeing it in black and white. Yeah, superb. Absolutely it does, thank you. Yeah, really useful. Apart from actually having you with us today to chat to and joining in the chat, it's been really good having you with us today for this example and just having you hanging around. So I hope you can pop back again sometime when we're on streams. I'm going to save that later. I'm going to come back and look at that during the week and see what we can do with that. Now let's see what we've got here, and let's see the difference. A little different. I'm missing the power and the jump. For a bit of fun, let me just change this lean back to be on 2s as you had it. You'd also had it on 12s as we was discussing, so that'll change the timing. Let's just see how. This is. Let me extend the background a bit more. The length really doesn't matter, but put it on 48. Give it a few frames after it lands before it restarts. Hit save so I don't lose anything there. Let's extend the start as well by a couple of frames, just to give us time to get into the movement. Yeah, so having that on 2s near the beginning as well, which is effectively on 4s on 24 frames a second, to slow them down into that. When you say you could do the same for the run, what would you do differently for the run? Is that adding sort of little dust particles around his feet as he runs, or would you change the timing or framing? Yeah, it's a very, very short animation there. I think what I'll do today, because of the tablet issue here, and I say I've been going for 3.5 hours or so, getting a little bit tired, and I'm nearly ready for my tea, actual tea. Let me add those extra couple of drawings at the top of the jump to slow him down. And I might leave it there for today. Yeah, so I was thinking the timing would be different as well. Again, interested in what timing you choose for that. Being stick figure legs and arms, they move quite quickly, so it's difficult to sort of see the movement in there. So I'm not sure where you'd add the extra or change the timing of the frames even. If you wanted to do something with that, feel free. I'd love to see it if you had time. I know you're a busy chap. But otherwise, thank you for your help so far anyway. Golden Slime, hello, welcome. Not a problem about being late, as it were. However, I am winding up. We're getting towards the end today. We've had lots of chat today and lots of help from professional animator, Alon Dan, you can see in the chat there. And Enyo-san, welcome back. Good to have you here again. Thank you, Alan. I appreciate that. It's more the cartoony side I want to get into. So your suggestions and help have really been helpful today. Really been helpful. So thank you for that. Yeah, if I put on the onion skin for the preceding and following drawings, we can see the difference in the stretch I put in to the one you put in. I mean, let me just take the selection tool. I know it's not redrawing it, it's messing about a bit, but let me stretch this, if I can, using this selection tool, to the kind of size you had, where his backside was at the same place as the preceding frame, and the head was at the same place as the ending frame. Make him a little bit wider, because he was a bit thin there. So kind of like that, just to get a feel for the size. Let's see how that looks. I know it's a horrible drawing. I'm not looking at the drawing, just to see what that does. Of course, Enyo-san, always. Random Lummer. Oh, sorry, Random Lummer. Good to have you with us. First time I recognise your name. Welcome to the stream. Almost every Sunday, I try and do the streams each Sunday, Sunday tea time. That's 3 PM UK time. I run them usually 2, 3, 4 hours, depending what I'm working on, how busy we are. So if you want to join me next week, I'd love to have you here. I'll be carrying on with this mini animation, so come along and join us. It'd be great to have you back. 100% Alan, absolutely. All I'd say to help people understand the software you've used is, if you take a look, I've grouped together the channels. So I've got a group of OpenToonz Tahoma 2D World, you can see here. And in there I've got your art and animations. So that's art and animations made with OpenToonz or Tahoma. And if it's made with another program, there's an everything else group with, again, an art and animation section for you to pop things into. So it's useful for people to know which software you've used. But absolutely, feel free to post your animation in there, or anything else you want to share with the gang, to be honest. So advice from Enyo-san, I think the right leg should move up for the very first step, since the left leg serves as support. Let's take a look at that. Absolutely, Randon. If you take a look down there in the description, you'll see a link to the Discord server. Come on over and join us, and that's what I've been showing on here. So that's this one here, where you can join in. We've got help for OpenToonz and Tahoma 2D, some download and link section to get to the program, and some extra plugins and features you can have. An essentials room that describes essential things to know about the programs, FAQ, obviously frequently asked questions, a place to ask any questions and to get help, and then also just a basic chat room to join in with the chat about animation and what have you. So yeah, come and join us. It'd be good to have you with us. Brilliant, thank you, Alan. Looking forward to seeing that. So Enyo, you're talking about the right leg should move up for the very first step. Ah, do you mean when he leans backwards? Lift his leg off the ground and then put it down, maybe? And feel free, Alan, to share any links to some of your animations from time to time as well, for people to take a look at, or any tips, or any of your old tutorials if you want to. There he is, Randon. Hello, welcome. I can see you in the Discord server. Let me pop on a little party emoji. Welcome to the group. Yes, that one. Thank you, Alan. Let me share that here. So in the Your Animations channel for everything else, I remember that one. Thank you for sharing that, yes. So you're talking about his right leg? Because at the minute he's leaning on his right leg. Because he leaned back on his left, then he'd forward on his right, and then his left leg comes forward here to jump up into. Yeah, so here he's really leaning on his right leg and the weight's on there. So I'm not sure how or where he'd lift his leg up on that one. Just go to the brush tool, check if we've still got, yeah, we've still got this issue where it's drawing extra lines even though I'm not touching the screen. Oh, that's so annoying. That's so annoying. Okay, let me just loop play that. I was in the middle of that, wasn't I? Yeah, I was thinking that, Alan, about the leg raising before he starts to run. Yes. Yeah, so this is, I've just extended that one drawing for the full stretched out version that you was talking about. Yeah, that is a lot better. It's one of those things that as an individual drawing, it looks mad at first glance. Yeah, it snaps his body back up as he jumps up there. Okay, I'll look into the squash as well beforehand. Yeah, so rather than having these on twos leaning back, you put them onto ones, I'm guessing, or towards that way. Yeah. Let me see if I can add another in between up here, or if this drawing pen issue is going to cause too much of an issue. So I'm just tracing this anyway. Okay, I seem to have lost my Rasta brush, so let me add that back in. And it's the charcoal brush I used. Let's see how this looks now. Yeah, that's still not having that pressure, so it's not worth using that, but I will take the standard brush, make it light grey, keep that small. Yes, as I say, I'm doing all this on 12s. I'd had it on 10s earlier, on 10 FPS, but on 12 FPS. So I was planning to put some in-betweens anyway. But yeah, a couple, 2 extra in-betweens. Yeah, not today because of this nonsense with the tablet. But yeah, we'll look at that. See if I can get something done here. And then I'd best really go downstairs and see Mrs. T and see what she's been up to while I've been on the stream. And it's annoying having to change brushes in the middle of this, but it's only the sketch level, as long as it gives me the the timing and rough positioning for where I want everything. That's all that counts. Yes. True, I'm quite happy to trace over that though. So having a bit of a rotation and a little bit of a fall. Once again, favour the top there. I think I'll add another extra one in. Might be too much, but let's try it anyway. Alt D. Doesn't take too long to draw this. And then we just see how this looks with this extra time in the air at the top. It was originally going to be, you're right, it was originally going to be a hole that he fell into, and then after I re-watched it back during the week, I re-watched back the animation during the week and looked at this curled up, tucked in position, and it felt more like he was about to cannonball into the water. So I decided instead it was going to be water, which also gives me an excuse to practice at doing a water splash, which was the follow-on plan to doing this animation. So it should actually be water, is the intention now. So let's see about that, if that's too floaty at the top. Yeah, that's okay. I wanted a bit more airtime to then give him the weight to fall down, and then with a big splash, or the double splash I was expecting, so the water to splash outwards followed by the centre plume coming upwards, that kind of a splash effect I was going to have a play with. Thank you, Golden Slime, I appreciate that. I've definitely got a long way to go, but I'm feeling more comfortable with it. Getting tips like this from Alan today is really going to help, I think. I need to push myself. I know I can see the areas where I'm weakest, and as we talked about earlier, using squash and stretch to its full account is one area. Just take a look at these last few frames. So it goes quite fast there, but that's okay. Yeah, it's quite floaty, but that's okay for me. Yeah, good. I'm happy with that. I'm going to leave it there for today. So unless we've got any other questions popping in, I'll leave the stream just here. Me too, Golden Slime. The stretching, again, thanks to Tom, I think, brought it up first, and Alan, who talked about it. And I don't know if you missed it, but he did an example himself based on this. I shared the project and images, and he redrew it with a few changes in the middle to demonstrate doing a proper stretch. And it stretched much more than I would have done. And I really want to have more of a play with that. Almost 2 decades. That sounds like quite a long time. Yeah, if you're not learning every day, you're doing something wrong. I've analysed and looked at animation for many years. Did some stick figure animation when I was much younger, and some basic movements. And I've done a bit of frame by frame over the past few years working with OpenToonz. Not that much. I think if I put all the time I was drawing frame by frame back to back, I probably only would have done it for 2 or 3 weeks in reality, I think. I've enjoyed what I've done. I've made some interesting things, I think, but this kind of all frame by frame animation I've not done enough of. But that's why we're here on a Sunday. So if you want to join me next Sunday and the following few Sundays, then please do. I'm here about the same time, about 3 p.m. UK time. So I'd love you to come and join me if you can. Absolutely, Maria. There's always things to learn, which is why when earlier on today somebody who was about 20 said, is it too late to learn animation? It's like, no, it really, really isn't. There's plenty of dinosaurs around here. Absolutely. Well, thank you. Let me just pause on that. Thanks for joining me, and thank you especially, Alan, for joining me today and helping me out with this animation. It really is appreciated. So hopefully I'll see you next Sunday to do some more animation. So have a great week, all of you, and I'll see you next week. And that is a Darren Tea. Have you always wanted to animate but didn't know how to start, and software seemed expensive and difficult to use? Well, with OpenToonz, it's free, powerful, and once you know how, it's easy to use. And it's my mission to get you animating with it today. Hi, my name's Darren, and I've been teaching OpenToonz for the past 3 years, showing thousands of students just like you how easy it is to animate with. I'm cutting through the jargon to show that anyone can animate with it. And by the end of the course, you'll be able to animate traditionally using OpenToonz. And the course is designed for students brand new to OpenToonz, as well as those new to animation. So take a look at the free lessons I've offered below, and then why not sign up and join me animating traditionally with OpenToonz.